on this Tuesday, the 14th of April. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We're streaming at foxsportsfm.com, and we are broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How the heck are you?
Confused.
What?
You disappeared. I
Wait, I'm right here.
No, you're not. You're supposed to be in a little box right where that picture of my father and his brothers are, and you're not there.
Huh.
I don't know where you are, and I've spent the last half an hour trying to find you, and I cannot find you. So I'm confused this morning, David.
That's weird. I can see myself. I'm in a little box in the top right-hand corner of my Skype screen, and I can see you, although you look as if you're doing the weather. You are superimposed on the screen. You have never been that before. I'm expecting you to turn to your right and extend your arm like Matt Devitt and start talking to me about, we have unusually warm temperatures this morning.
Yeah,
It's muggy.
I tried a couple of things
yesterday.
yesterday.
Another record high.
We are.
Oh,
Well, no, there were problems, so I was trying to fix them, and I don't know what the hell happened to you.
so, well, you know what, Mark? I mean, there are trades that we all would like to make. All right, and I do think that this is a good trade if you think about it. If you fix the problems but lose me, all right, as opposed to still have the problems and have me. I mean, it's a tough call that general managers have to make.
I hear you. So that's where we are. Now I've lost you. Now I've lost you completely, but that's all right. We'll live. I think our Skype connection went away, so we'll have to fix that during the break. But all right, back to what we were doing before, because there was a picture of you, and that disappeared, and my Skype's not even working. So, hey, off to a rousing start. But, I thought about something, and since, I know you probably want to get right into the draft and a lot of these things,
No.
and we have plenty of time, but
Yes,
I
we
think
do.
about stupid things. And yesterday, as I went for my walk, the brain started wandering. And I've had to get an oil change in my car since before the pandemic started. I figured yesterday would be a pretty good day since I'm not driving anywhere. So I actually made an appointment, dropped the car off, and I just walked after that. Walked back home from Estero Bay Chevrolet and did the Hill of Estero, also known as the Dunk City Overpass.
I was going to say. Okay.
But, and look, I am as happily married as anybody could be, and I sincerely mean that. So I'm not thinking this for me, but I just started wandering around, and there's no one on the streets and no one walking around. What about all those poor people that are cheating on their spouses? They've been locked up and can't see the person they're having an affair with. How's that going? That's where my brain went yesterday on the walk.
That's where your brain went?
Yep.
I figured out on my walk a couple days ago just how many employees Fox and CBS would have to test for the coronavirus if they were to have a safe NFL and college football season. And your mind wandered to, man, what are all the people who are having affairs doing right now?
Yeah. How do you pull that off? So if you're cheating on your spouse, I want to hear how you're pulling this off. 479-5551.
I'm guessing it has something to do with not social distancing. That's my guess. Maybe you are deeming it essential services. I don't know if Governor DeSantis would agree, but maybe that is something that you would declare essential services. Much like golf courses staying open, the WWE still allowed to conduct business. Essential services.
It varies, David. What's essential to one man is not to another. Don't know how to tell you that.
Well, we are talking about maybe opening certain areas of states and countries before others. That's maybe what we're talking about here as well. Maybe a certain humble abode is an essential service, I guess.
Right.
Wow, make a dadgum good point, Mark.
It was. Look at random things pop in my brain, David. I can't help it. I'm a weird duck.
I understand.
But
Listen,
I discovered yesterday where all of the rental cars that didn't get burnt are. They're in the Germain Arena, or they're in the Hertz Arena parking lot.
gotcha.
I mean, there were a lot, because I decided when I left the dealership with my car, I said, I'm going to go right. I'm going to go under the overpass, and I'll go through Miramar. And a couple of eerie things. Go walk through any mall, strip mall. Just, I walked around Miramar yesterday. There's nobody there. That's weird.
Right?
I mean, that's just plain strange. So then I went past that little lake there and, by the arena. And I'm like, lots of cars here. They're all rentals. Must have brought them over after the fire. Probably can get a deal on one of these. Got to be cleaned out a little bit. Might have a little odor to it. But that's, just, it is strange out there. And it will continue to be for quite a while. So the brain wanders.
Yes, it does.
And I guess better thinking those things than, going Kyle Larson, because people can still ruin their careers during a pandemic, and Kyle Larson may have done that.
Gotcha. Okay. He did. Oh, it's over. He's done. He's done. We will never see him again on any major racing circuit. He's done because the sponsor won't touch him. All right, whether or not there's a race team or what have you, is somebody wanting to give him a second chance, I don't think it'll happen. I don't think there are many, if any, sponsors that will allow that race team to keep him employed. And for those that don't know, Kyle Larson during the I-Series race, he dropped the N-word. I mean, you're done.
Yes.
You're done. And you should be done, in my opinion.
Well, I'll be honest, David. What happened? What's the receiver for the Eagles that went all nuts at the country concert and started dropping N-bombs?
Former Gator.
He wasn't done.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. No, Chip Kelly and the Eagles kept him. All right.
I mean, done forever is really strong.
Is it Riley Cooper?
Yes. So, look at done forever in NASCAR? I don't know about done forever, David. I just don't. Maybe, but you're telling me I don't condone the word. Not trying to say that, but you're telling me that one instance is going to cost the man the rest of his career?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we're not very forgiving anymore. I mean, that's something.
Mark, it involves sponsorship. What sponsor is going to put their name associated with him? I mean, it's very different than the Eagles. It is. That's a team. And by the way, I believe there was a sponsor or two that left, just like the Vikings lost a sponsor or two when Adrian Peterson had the incident with, whooping his kid. And they lost a couple of sponsors. But I do think that the NFL, though, is a lot more Teflon than any place else. And McDonald's pulled their scholarship from Ganassi Racing in 3 hours yesterday. They've been with Ganassi Racing for over a decade.
David, I understand. And I'm short term, he's done. I just said forever. That's all I'm saying. I can't envision that one word said over the weekend would cost him the rest of his career. I can't.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I do.
And I disagree with you. I think that he's going to have to go wherever and do whatever, but.
Mark, let me ask you this. And I don't think this is an unreasonable conclusion by me. If you're a white person and you use the N-word, can I conclude you're a racist?
Yes.
Because I think I can. Okay, now if that's a reasonable conclusion, you tell me the race team and or the sponsor that's going to say, yeah, I'm good hiring him.
Hey, there's a lot of. I'm not saying this year, and I'm saying a couple years.
No. But there's closet racists, and then there's public racists. I don't think a sponsor will attach their name to him. I'm not so sure NASCAR will want them to. I think there's a chance that NASCAR going forward looks at everybody and goes, "You're not going to hire him, are you?" I think he's done. I think he's done in a major. I don't think he'll race NASCAR again. I don't think he'll race Xfinity again. I'm not so sure he'll race trucks.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, if you're holding that line, I would think all three of those series are pretty much done because it's the same company, in essence.
Now, maybe if somebody drops the N word, maybe accusing them of being racist, you might think that's going too far. But in the world of public opinion, perception, in the sponsorship world, which is the lifeblood of that sport, kind of like recruiting is the lifeblood of college sports, I don't see how he's employable.
And right now, today, I agree with you. I just think people can reclaim their image. That's all. I don't think he's back tomorrow. I don't think he's back next year. But I do think you can clean your image up. I do think you can have a second chance. And if you're talented, you're usually given one.
He is talented. There's no question about it. But I also don't know if he's talented enough, if he was big enough to get a second chance. Could be our poll question.
I think it should be.
I don't think we've ever had the N word in our poll question, but
well, I don't really want to write that in our poll question.
Well, we're not going to write it out, but I mean, we're going to have to. I mean, we are. I think we're going to have to include it in the poll question. The N word. Phrase it that way, because I think that there's a decent number of people who won't know what we're talking about.
Fair enough.
They don't follow racing, and they may not have heard about Kyle Larson. Because also, I mean, think about it. This happened Sunday afternoon. It did not really gain traction until after our show yesterday. I mean, it took 18, 20 plus hours to all of a sudden really be a thing. I will say this this iRacing, E-Race Simulated, whatever it is you're calling it, it's almost causing more harm than good for some individuals. I mean, it's cost Bubba Wallace's Emu sponsorship. It might have cost Kyle Larson his career.
I tell you one thing about Blue Emu. I did not. They really have. They need us.
They do.
They do, because I was completely unaware of how many people were not familiar with the brand and just look at you with the dumbest look on their face when you mention Blue Emu. They think you're going to bring an emu into the room or something. I have no idea. I mean, they have a definite name recognition problem. When he said they're trying to take on Icy Hot, they have an uphill battle to go, and they need us.
Gotcha.
That's all. But you're right.
Gotcha.
They got rid of Bubba for rage quitting.
Right.
Maybe McDonald's will want him.
Maybe. They've got money available suddenly.
Right.
They do.
So, this is my world,
I think
David.
He's done. I think he's done.
Okay. And I don't. But it wouldn't be the first time I was wrong on something like this.
Well, no, and certainly wouldn't be the first time I was wrong. I woke up this morning to an Old Takes Exposed tweet in which something I had tweeted out about the 2013 NFL draft, and some guy holding me to it about my thoughts about Tyler Wilson.
You're
yes,
serious?
That's right. Yeah, that's what I woke up to this morning. I'm like, hey, there's a couple of tweets there. What did I miss? And I thought it was, our show being promoted on Twitter and what have you. And I look at it, and some guy brought back a 2013 tweet in which I had talked about Tyler Wilson, who I believe is still the all-time leading passer at Arkansas, or at least he was. His career ended very early in the NFL because of concussions. And 2013 was a really bad quarterback draft class. That was the E.J. Manuel, Geno Smith, Matt Barkley draft class. I mean, not really a good NFL quarterback in the entire draft. And I said Tyler Wilson would be the sleeper quarterback in the draft. And he wasn't.
Nobody
And
was.
some guy of all, right. And of all the guys, I mean, of all the tweets that I've put out over damn near a decade, to throw that one in my face, I was thinking to myself, man, I've got much worse than that. And I did say to him, hey, I got much worse than this. But while you're digging up old tweets, if you could dig out my Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott ones, I'd really appreciate it.
Right. Right. Give me a little
But
love
yeah.
here.
Yeah, just, a little something besides. If the worst one you can find is 2013 Tyler Wilson, maybe I've been much better on Twitter than I thought. But so I woke up, you had your head wandering. What are people who are having affairs doing?
That's that.
During,
I mean, my poll. I mean, I like where your poll question is. It is a lot more topical. It is a lot more relevant. Early on, I was thinking, are people that are having affairs, A, still having them, B, phone sex only, C, relationship
Wow.
on hold.
Huh? That's interesting. I never quite thought of B, but yeah, I guess it's an option.
But then where do you go for B? How do you get away? I mean, is this when your spouse goes
Well,
for
it
a
is
walk?
tough. It is tough. I mean, you're right. You go for a walk, I guess. I don't know, on the lanai. I don't know what to tell you.
Right. I mean, kids are
I'm
at
trying to
home.
have an affair. I'm trying to have an affair with my wife. So I don't know what, I'm
Hey,
not good here.
I got some advice for you, David, to keep
All
it
right.
alive. Clean the
Okay,
garage.
Blue Emu? Oh,
Clean the
okay.
garage.
I thought it was Blue Emu.
I heard that
All right.
works.
Yeah, well, it worked for the other guy.
That's what I mean. We know that's
Right.
a solid one there.
That's
so
true. That's true. That's
our
true. Maybe
poll
it's just
question
this.
yesterday was Tua-esque, David. And
Yes, it
anytime
was.
we go quarterback, Dolphins, and draft, people are excited. 71+% said absolutely the Dolphins should draft Tua.
There you go. 5 out of 7 of you. All right, there we go. That's what I like. I like to wake up when we're all on the same page. And by all of us, I mean you and me.
Yeah, B said they've only got to be right once. Like your boy says, keep taking them till you get it right. John said they've played it safe on every QB decision in the last 20 years. Enough is enough. Go get Tua. And Sean says he has the potential to be a special player. If he turns out to be injury prone in the NFL, them's the breaks. But I could not imagine passing on him in the draft. So those are the responses and the results of yesterday's poll question. I'm not sure if we go Kyle Larson or extramarital affairs. David and I will decide during the
Wow.
break.
Quite a dichotomy there. as to
really
what our
is,
poll
and I'm-
question could be. Yep. Extramarital affairs or the N-word. I mean, that's about as far apart as you could be for a poll question.
Yep.
Let me tell you. Maybe it's a good thing we can't see one another on Skype right now.
I've got the same grin that you'd expect me to have, and David's probably a little nervous. But we still have a pretty darn good show lined up once again. I mean, this is, we keep plugging along. We're gonna talk a little XFL for the final time. Ben Kercheval covered the XFL for CBS Sports. He's no longer covering it because the league has folded. It is for sale,
What?
though, David. Did you catch that the league is, because of the bankruptcy proceedings, you can buy the XFL if you want, David.
$1. What do you say? $1.
I wouldn't give you 25 cents for it.
Seriously?
I wouldn't take 25% of that.
I would, Mark, hold on. Hear me out.
Oh, boy.
$1, you get to put it on your business card. Owner of the XFL. $1.
Great. I'd rather be owner of the Miller and Moulton show. There's not as much debt.
Not
I mean,
yet.
they're both worth exactly the same. Nothing. One just carries a lot of debt. The other one, we don't have any debt, David. We don't have any credit, but we don't have any debt.
I want to purchase it. So this way I can put both. Co-owner of Miller and Moulton, owner of the XFL.
Good luck with that. Sean
Okay.
McIndoe covers the NHL for The Athletic. He will talk to us about what their restart plans are, and the draft is 9 days away. I can't get over the fact that there's an NFL draft going on. If you're not excited about this NFL draft, then I don't know if you'll ever be excited about anything.
And it was announced yesterday that the NFL Network and ESPN, they're going to do the draft together, and they're going to do it from Bristol, Connecticut.
Screw that. Miller or Moulton are doing the draft on Twitch.
We are.
We are. We will be doing the draft. You will see us in a way that you may have never seen us before, because it's going to be fun. David will be very serious. I'll be even less serious than normal. Started doing my work yesterday, though, David. I have note cards.
Note cards?
Yeah, I started getting my notes for Thursday. Started getting things lined up so you and I can do this and do it right.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll have note tablets. I'll have so much stuff down.
Good. I'm getting there. A lot of printing, a lot of highlighting, a lot of stuff going on yesterday, getting myself ready. Going to be a little reversal for us. I talked to David. I said, hey, David, you kind of lead and I kind of follow for the show for the draft. We may have to switch that because I'm going to have to be the navigator and you're going to have to be the expert because, once we get to rounds 2 and 3, well, you're on, kid.
Well, thanks. Appreciate the heads up.
Oh, this will be great. This will be so much fun, though, because you can – it's easy for me. All right, David, what are they thinking? And you are just going to be – oh, no. It's going to be Katie bar
and
the
I'll
door.
Be proposing trades.
Katie
and I'll be proposing trades like crazy. Yep. Proposing trades like crazy. Well, Mark, you know what I would do here? I'd trade up. Mark, you know what I would do here? I'd trade down. Oh, yeah. Going to get a lot of that. Looking forward to it. In 9 and 10 days, the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. And yes, Miller and Moulton will do them live on Twitch. Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. The starting 5 is coming up. Thanks for waking up with us on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
The coronavirus has changed our lives.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Who would have ever thought we'd see a day when sports would stop?
It's not about your brackets or who's going to win March Madness. It's sort of about getting through this.
Fox
There
Sports
we go.
Radio will continue to
Yeah, I
keep
don't
you
know what the
informed
hell
on
happened.
all the latest coronavirus information through our partners at Wink News.
The number of cases of coronavirus in the state.
And for the
other
latest
thing
in our
was I was
ever-changing
told
sports
that-
world.
It looks as if the Olympics are going to
Hang
be
on, I
postponed.
can't hear you.
What?
I was also told that my volume was very soft in comparison to yours.
Yeah, well, it came out of the gate. You were really, really loud, and then you went. I've never had you that quiet. I've never had to turn you up that loudly, ever. It was so quiet. I had you. Usually, I have you about
Hey,
a quarter of the way. I had you halfway.
I kind of need that communicated to me, though.
David, I don't know until you start talking. Every morning, you and Giro have to establish your levels. It has nothing to do with me, because
Well, right.
I'm only talking to you on Skype. So every day, your TriCast link to the
Mark,
station
I
is
get it.
different.
Mark, I get it. I do. I understand it. I've been going through this for 2 weeks, but that's what I mean. I just needed. I was talking to Giro there. If I'm loud or I'm soft, I need that communicated to me, and I don't need it communicated to me after a 20-minute segment is done. That's all. And yes, for whatever reason, it varies day to day because I don't touch my equipment at all.
I know, but that's why at 5:50 would be the time to test it. That's all.
Well, apparently, it doesn't matter apparently 550 doesn't help because we've done it at 550 and at 602 it's different.
what is it? Kyle Larson was caught using the N-word during the I race. How do you want to phrase this?
Kyle Larson, and it's Larson,
Respond to the 2020 census now.
uttered the
Spend a few
N-word
minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure,
During
and education.
Sunday's
Respond online today
I race.
to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future.
Is his
Start
career
here
over?
At 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Now back to Miller and Moulton. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"28 minutes past 6 o'clock on this Tuesday. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com. And I'm getting an echo on both Miller and Moulton's YouTube and Twitch TV channels. 479-5551, 479-5551 is our number to chime in via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line, 479-5551. So we've already established that Doll fans want them to draft Tua with our poll question yesterday. Our poll question today going to be even more hard-hitting.
Yeah, that is. We're jumping out there for us. This is not the normal Miller and Moulton poll question. I'm more into frozen Oreo, yes or no. That's what fits my lifestyle.
Right. I understand. Listen, I think our listeners can tell who came up with the poll question most days.
But ironically, this one, when you said I think it's a poll question, I'm like, yes. There was never a doubt in my mind that this was our poll question today.
And so NASCAR driver Kyle Larson participated in the I race on Sunday, and not sure what happened, but he got mad.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The way I read it was he thought he was saying that on a private channel, a.k.a., as you say, David, the closet racist. What happened was he said it on an open channel.
Right.
He
used the N-word.
Yeah, he used the N-word. He thought he was only doing it to his other racist friends, but apparently he did it to everybody.
And so we're just asking, is this something that you can recover from, or is his big-time racing career over? And I say it's over, because in NASCAR you need sponsorship. And I think it's going to be difficult for he to find big-time sponsorship. And you need a lot of it, too. I mean, it's tough to be financed. You know, the days of, Jeff Gordon riding around, and DuPont right there on the hood. I mean, the days of one company flipping the bill to be able to race at the highest levels of racing, those days are over. Companies aren't stroking those checks anymore. You need multiple sponsors to stroke you 7-digit checks. And I don't think that he'll ever be able to get that. I don't. And therefore, I think he's done. And do you think he's done, or do you think that this is something that he can recover from? And Mark pointed out right away, Riley Cooper, Eagles wide receiver. I mean, I don't know how popular he was with his black teammates after the video emerged of him at that country concert, and he was throwing the N-word around a lot. And he still played a few more years in the league and with that team. And, it's not like, the team had some success. If there was a divide in the locker room, it did not affect them on the field. And he was able to play a few more years in the league. It didn't end his career. But I think the two sports are different. He wasn't running around with sponsors on his jerseys.
There's no doubt. And David, come on. I'm not acting like this is this year. I think this is a major image overhaul. But Mike Vick had the dogfighting thing and was able to come back. We love comebacks. So is this now the end? Wow, that's something if it is. And you very well may be right, David. I just think he will get another opportunity.
He is going to have to publicly fall on the sword. I don't know. It is obviously, I don't think he can come back from it. And I'm not sure that NASCAR will want him to either. I'm really not. I'm not so sure that NASCAR will want him in their highest levels of racing anymore.
You bring up that, to me, that's the fascinating discussion. Because I think a lot of people out there think, what do you mean NASCAR? NASCAR is a redneck sport. Exactly. That's actually the point, David. That's what's kind of been in my head of why you're right. If you're right, that's the biggest part of it. You have a sport that has an image of Southern redneck, whether they want it or not. They're always going to have it. It was a sport that began by Run and Shine as the precursor to this sport, for crying out loud. So with their history and their image and the fact that people still like to fly stars and bars in the infield at races, NASCAR will want to do what they have to do. And that's where you may have this one, David.
And if there is one benevolent dictatorship in this country, you can argue it is left in NASCAR. Even more so than the PGA Tour.
Or the WWE. But that's not a sport. So you, in that regard, are right. But it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton Starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
And if you're just joining us and you don't know what it is we are talking about, Kyle Larson, a regular on the NASCAR circuit for a few years now. He uttered the N-word during the I-Series race on Sunday. He thought he was off air. He wasn't. And Ganassi Racing has suspended him. And McDonald's has dropped their sponsorship with Ganassi Racing, clearly saying to Ganassi Racing, now if you get rid of him, we'll start writing you checks again. But if you're pondering keeping him, well, we're going to keep our money until you decide. Speaking of money, Mark, Christian McCaffrey got paid yesterday.
Yes, he did.
Carolina Panthers made number 22 the highest paid running back in NFL history, at least in terms of dollars per year. $16 million a year for 4 years. So 4 years, $64 million. The first 2+ years of the contract are fully guaranteed. So Christian McCaffrey got paid, and Matt Rule and Carolina Panthers making a statement, getting rid of the old guard, but backing up the truck on Christian McCaffrey. Then a bunch of sad stories. Ex-NFL quarterback Tavares Jackson died in a car crash. He was just 36 years of age, a second-round pick of the Vikings roughly 15 years ago. Actually took him to the playoffs one year. His last stop in the league, he was a backup to Russell Wilson for a few years in Seattle. Karl Anthony Towns' mother, Jacqueline, died from the coronavirus yesterday. She was just 58 years of age. If you remember, about a month ago, both his mom and his father had contracted COVID-19. Dad is recovering. Jacqueline never recovered, and after battling it for a month, passed away yesterday. She was 58 years old. The NFL and the NFLPA have agreed on a virtual off-season schedule, Mark, of workouts. And the dates are pretty much what the dates normally are. If this is any indication, the NFL going full speed ahead. I mean, this to me an indication that the start of their season, they are still operating as if their start date's going to be pretty close to what their start date usually is. And September 10th would be the first game. It's the Thursday after Labor Day. September 10th would be the NFL's first game. I'm of the belief they might push it back, or I shouldn't say might. I'm of the belief they're going to push it back 2 to 3 weeks because I think they're going to want to get in the Hall of Fame weekend and the Hall of Fame game. I don't know how many preseason games we're going to have, but I think the NFL is going to want to do something concerning the Hall of Fame, and they're not going to want to scrap that. Remember Fabian Lovett? He was the defensive lineman who first criticized Mike Leach's meme at Mississippi State a week or so ago, and then the next day he said, I'm transferring. He transferred to Florida State. Telling you, Mike Norvell.
Doing a really nice
doing
job.
In acquiring talent, he's done about as well as you could do. When you consider what Florida State's record has been the last 3 years, Mike Norvell so far, knock on wood, looks like has done a good job on paper acquiring talent for the last 100 days. Lovett will have 3 years of eligibility left. He's going to apply for immediate reinstatement from the NCAA for a waiver. We'll see whether or not he gets it. NBA news, the Bulls fired GM Gar Forman. Not much of a surprise, except that he's been with the Bulls for 22 years. And Gar Forman got hired right after Michael and Phil and Scotty, and they left. Gar Forman been the GM of the Bulls for the last 10 years. He was let go. Kansas sophomore. All right, Devon Dotson. The guard is going to enter the NBA draft. He led the Big 12 in scoring at 18 points. He also had 4 rebounds, 4 assists a game. The Kansas sophomore has declared for the NBA draft. And one other note, and I like these stories, I think, more than most people. Maybe it's because I went to a Division III school and also worked covering a lot of D2s and D3s before I got to Southwest Florida. Longtime Amherst men's basketball coach, David Hickson. He's been there 42 years. He retired yesterday. He won 826 games, basically averaged 20 wins a year. You know, it's like 19.7 he averaged. 20 wins a year for 42 years. Went to 7 Final Fours, won 2 national championships. David Hickson retired yesterday at Amherst. And, you know, ESPN's primetime ratings, Mark, are down over 70% during the coronavirus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems to make a little bit of sense.
Yes.
I mean,
just,
we go days without turning the television on in this house right now. Days.
Well, that's your house. I think you're not the norm.
No, but I mean, people are the Netflix numbers are through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if they're watching, I'm sure CNN, I'm sure Fox News, I'm sure all the news stations are huge.
Oh no, they're doing great numbers. CNN, I think, highest ratings they've had in almost 15 years.
Right.
MSNBC,
So, I mean,
highest ratings in like 5. Yeah.
But I mean,
no,
I get that a lot of people have said though they've turned off the news. But there's nothing on ESPN to watch.
You know, Fox News having terrific ratings as well. And now we went through the channels a few days ago as to the non-cable news channels that are most up. Sci-Fi, Comedy Central. I mean, you know, there were a few that were Food Networks doing really well, but ESPN struggling here, down over 70% from what they normally are. So ESPN yesterday said to their top 10 highest paid people, yeah, you guys got to take a 15% pay cut. So now for some, that's around $1 million.
Well, if you're making that much and it's 15%, then I think that's okay. Because there are a lot of Americans that have taken this 100% pay cut. You know, by the millions every week.
Yep. So just noteworthy. That's all.
Poor guys at ESPN, the top 10%. Man, I feel badly for them. Losing $1 million.
It's the top
wow,
10.
You know what we should do? We should start a GoFundMe page for them.
And that, at 18 minutes before 7 o'clock, is...
The Starting 5. 5 big stories that you need to know. This is Miller and Moulton Starting 5. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Now, the 15% pay cut is for 3 months. So it's not a permanent thing. It's a get through the spring, get into the summer thing. So top 10 highest paid employees at ESPN get a 15% pay cut for 3 months. So obviously over the course of a year, that'd only be about a 4% pay cut, but just saying. That's all. Just a little noteworthy story about, the coronavirus and how it's affecting sports.
There's no doubt.
Didn't need to dump all that water on my parade. I mean,
It wasn't on your parade. It was on those poor people from ESPN. The top 10.
I didn't say that.
I
I
did.
just thought it was noteworthy. That's all. About how far off their ratings are, and they're trying to show old sporting events. And we had Jason Barrett on last week. He criticized. He said, their approach of trying to pretend as if the sports world is still going on. He goes, I don't think it's the right approach, is what he said. And so far, the numbers are backing that up.
Well, the one thing that worked, everybody seems to be from old sports. People universally loved what CBS pulled off on the weekend of having
Yes.
the athlete in there. So maybe they showed us something. To show an old event, nah. To show an old event with the participants. I mean, to get Urban Meyer there for a game that he lost, maybe, or to get the two quarterbacks in an NFL game talking about what's going on, I think we would be really interested in that.
Now, ESPN's going to have a little ditty that's going to start on Sunday, which is their 10-part Michael Jordan and the Bulls documentary. And I had wondered why it is, because isn't it called like the last, it's not the last hurrah, but it's almost like the last go-round. And I wondered why it was that it was titled that. I didn't realize this was strictly about the 1998 Bulls. That this was about Michael Jordan, but it was also specifically about the final season of Jordan and Pippen and Phil. I just thought it was more a Michael Jordan documentary. They're releasing excerpts of it. And Jordan apparently sat down on 3 different occasions for this documentary and didn't hold back. I'm very impressed they got him to participate like this. I really am. Interesting to me that he wanted to do it as much as he did. An excerpt was released last night in which he gave an answer about himself and how hard he was on teammates and what it was that he expected. And he worked himself up. He got so emotional when he was done with the answer. He basically excused himself so he could go off camera. He was that emotional. I had to kind of get it back together again and then come back on camera.
Well, do you think possibly, Michael Jordan's never, I don't think, listened to many people for, at least on the court, for advice. Michael did his own thing. And and even going to the Hall of Fame speech, in which he was panned for that. It didn't.
Yeah, he should have been.
I know. But do you think maybe from the Hall of Fame speech until that sit down, maybe some of those things maybe some of that dawned on him? That, well, he maybe had a little
I actually think it's the other way. I actually think it's because now that he's an owner and he's having to watch the modern player and the modern athlete, I don't think he likes them. I mean, there's a few, obviously, he liked. I mean, he admired Kobe, all right? I think he admires LeBron, all right? But I think that there's a part of Jordan that looks at the modern player and he's like, yeah, I can't relate to you guys. I cannot relate. I mean, come on. Michael played every game. Except for the one season he got hurt early in his career with his knee. Michael played all the damn time. This whole load management thing. I mean, Jordan must be looking around throwing things in his office.
I don't necessarily, I guess I'm not really saying that. I mean about his time. Maybe, I don't know. Does he have friends from the playing days? Does he care about it? Looking back, because every athlete that I've ever spoken to, that I've ever interviewed, misses one thing: the locker room, because of the camaraderie. And it sounds like Michael Jordan didn't have that same camaraderie that other players did. And now that he's 60, is any of that in his head? That's what I meant. I didn't mean about today's guy, David. I just meant reflecting and going, maybe I should have played this a little differently, or maybe I shouldn't have, or maybe I did everything right. That's all.
The 10-part series begins Sunday. I believe they're running them Sundays and Mondays. They'll run 2 a week for 5 weeks. Miller and Moulton. 12 minutes before 7 o'clock. Thanks for being with us. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Welcome to the program.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
He's the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians. Now, how do you work with Brady remotely?
It's going to have to be creative. You know, the beautiful thing of technology now.
That would have been coffee
everything on
everywhere, Seth.
computers, and it's a lot easier
And yes,
for a
he
really
is a
smart
scumbag,
guy
but
to
he's a
learn something
great
new
coach.
than 20 other
And I'm
average learners to
fascinated
learn
by
something
people who
else.
lose
And it's a lot easier
and how
for
they
Tom
talk
just to
about it.
switch some verbiage.
Dan Patrick.
The Dan
But no, I did
Patrick
not.
Show.
Sorry, Seth.
Weekdays at 9
The sarcasm was
on
lost
Southwest
on me
Florida's
this morning.
Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Because for whatever reason, David's Skype thing should be right there in my box, and it's not. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people. What's really fun here is that David's in the Skype camera, and he can't hear me because I mute it. Just how we have to get on air. And when I'm talking to those of you watching, which could very well be including his wife, he can't hear me. And he keeps looking up wondering if I'm talking to him or not. And I find that fun.
Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. We offer at-home test drives and at-home delivery at your convenience. That's right, 0% APR financing for 84 months on new Rams, Jeeps, and Dodges. Plus, at-home test drives and at-home delivery. Call today, drive today at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. $29.99 down plus tax, tag, and dealer fee. $2.99 per month for 84 months at 0% APR. Excludes Rubicon. Offers don't combine.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor. The Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. LED color-changing pool lights can create an after-dark backyard oasis. Pick your color or select one of the light shows. You can see how dramatic it really is on our website. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
103.3 downtown Fort Myers.
We are Fox. No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers
Jimmy.
Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground. And you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little
Thank
or no
you,
money
Seth.
out of pocket.
You're a nice guy.
But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us at 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Seven minutes before 7 o'clock. Thanks for being with us on Tuesday, April 14th. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening to Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. We're streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton, YouTube and Twitch channels. 479-5551 is our number. 479-5551 is how you can chime in on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Our poll question could be polarizing because of the subject matter, although it's a pretty simple, straightforward question. Kyle Larson, a NASCAR driver, uttered the N-word, obviously in a moment of frustration, during the I-race that took place Sunday afternoon. He thought he was on a private channel. He wasn't. And is his career over? And I say it is, because I don't think sponsors are going to want to be associated with him. And I don't think they're going to want to be 3 to 5 years from now either. That to me marks the big key. Can he somehow, because I certainly don't think he's going to race again this year with Ganassi Racing or what have you. I think he'll get dropped, and then it's a matter of can he land with somebody else in 2021 or 2022.
Right.
And that to me is going to be an interesting sell.
I'm with you. And look, you very well may be right based on a lot of the things. This is a tough one because NASCAR, a lot of people on Twitch. By the way, for those of you out there, we are now only on Twitch and YouTube. If you found us on Facebook, I put links throughout the show on Facebook and Twitter. But if you want to watch the show and hopefully at some point see David, because I thought I fixed it, but I didn't. Now you just see me and Georgie Animal Steel and Swampy holding hands over my shoulder. But as a lot of people, and one of the fun things about Twitch is even Seth Everett watching this morning and chatting with the folks in there as well to stir the pot. And he tried to make me laugh with coffee in my mouth during the last segment. But as many of you have pointed out, as David's pointed out, this is a sport that has an image that's really outside of their core fan isn't a great image. And in fact, what Larson said may largely be the image that a lot of people have of NASCAR as a whole. So to let him back in would then support that image. And that's the last thing NASCAR wants. Of all the points David's made, that's the one that resonates most with me. I'm just a big believer that we give people second chances. And that I believe that Kyle Larson's talented enough, young enough, to make up for this and get another opportunity in NASCAR. Do I think it's this year? Hell no. Do I think it's next year? Probably not. And as you said earlier, David, he is going to have to fall on the sword and do things that will make him very uncomfortable, and should, if he's ever going to get the opportunity to get back into this sport.
And Mark, I mean, the odds are you're going to be correct, because as you pointed out when we brought this up for the first time 40 or so minutes ago, Mike Vick, I mean, that was pretty polarizing. That was pretty damaging. He went to federal prison for 2 years, but he got a second chance. Now, not everybody was happy about it, but he was given a second chance. Now, I think it's going to take, not going to federal prison, but I do think it's going to take an absence of 2 to 3 years, and then maybe the doors open again for Kyle Larson. But I also don't know that he's going to be. Usually what happens, Mark, is that you are given an entry somewhere and you start working your way back. And I'm trying to figure out who's going to give him an entry at the Truck or Xfinity Series level. so that he's in the minors, if you will, waiting for his big opportunity again. I just don't know that he's going to be able to race.
Are you a music and technology lover? Indulge your senses with a visit to the best audio, video, and technology showroom in Southwest Florida. Epic Audio Video, located at the southwest corner of Pine Ridge Road in US 41, specializing in home audio, theater, and automation systems from top manufacturers such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Sonos, Hunter Douglas, Bowers & Wilkins, and others. Visit their showroom for a hands-on experience and speak to one of the technology specialists today. EpicAudioVideo.com.
Fox Sports Radio, proudly supporting our local Southwest Florida restaurants. Here's a Fox Sports Radio takeout shout-out.
This is Nick at Blue Point in the Bell Tower Shops. Our phone number is 239-433-0924.
And thank you to all the businesses that are working hard to keep us going. From Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Hashtag Gulf Shore Strong.
Ever purchased an online item and either it doesn't fit, has missing parts, or became damaged? Trying to save a few bucks can end up costing more. My Shower Door is a locally owned and operated family business that measures, manufactures, and installs our own brand of frameless shower doors right here in Southwest Florida. And we were just named Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year. With almost 80,000 shower doors installed, we have the experience and expertise. Plus, estimates are always free. Want to see more? Go to myShowerDoor.com.
Gulf Shore Business wants you to vote for the best in Southwest Florida. Go online to GulfShoreBusiness.com to see the ballot highlighting locally owned and operated businesses. Vote for the best in these categories: business, finance, and insurance, legal, marketing, commercial, building and real estate, business services, and dining and drinks. We all have our favorites. Don't miss your chance to support yours. Voting ends at midnight on April 15th. It's the best in business, presented by GulfShoreBusiness.com. That's GulfShoreBusiness.com.
WFSX AM from Naples to Cape Coral and all of Southwest Florida. 94.1 Fox Sports Radio. We are Fox Sports. Here's what's trending now. Brought to you by the Center for Men's Health. C4MH.com. There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
This could end the bro hug. That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug groove.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it! It's up to you now! It's up to you! I like it!
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
Your life.
Couple minutes past 7 o'clock. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? We are Miller and Moulton. This is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Streaming at foxsportsfm.com. Broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton Twitch and YouTube channels. You can chime into the show via the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line at 479-5551, 479-5551. If you miss any part of the show, well, make sure you download our Connecticut cast. And Connecticut's never been more valuable than they are right now. You don't have to keep going to the store and load up on water. You can get the best damn water that you've ever had just by installing Connecticut. 908-2300, 908-2300, proud sponsor of the Miller and Moulton podcast, and every hour of the show gets its own Connecticut cast.
Poll question is up. We are out there today, David. Really trying to, dig through this, but Kyle Larson let an N-word fly out during Sunday's iRace. Is his career over? Right now, 60% of you say yes, including one David Moulton. I say no, but I do think it's very close. I do think that the overlying generalizations about NASCAR hurt Kyle Larson's chance of being able to rehabilitate his image because the sport may not want him.
There you go. If enough time goes by that you can get sponsors to overlook the indiscretion, if that's how you care to look at it, then that's one thing. Then there's if NASCAR really wants them. I mean, let's face it, the PGA Tour, Mark, there's been a couple of golfers over the years in which the PGA Tour hasn't necessarily wanted them still around. And they've let it be known privately. And they've also put roadblocks in front of those one or two golfers over the years. And I think NASCAR can do the same.
If the NFL can, NASCAR can.
Right.
I mean, let's just right there. Ray Rice, Colin Kaepernick, done. Different reasons, different things. But make no mistake, both were talented enough to still play in the league, and both were never given an opportunity to then play again in the league.
Correct.
I don't think there's any way you could argue that evidence. But for different reasons, both were never given an opportunity, and it's very much seemed to be collective by the league. So if they can do it, NASCAR can sure as hell do it.
And I'm not sure. I mean, what's in it for NASCAR to bring Kyle Larson back into the sport?
David?
Can you name me one thing?
I actually,
and I mean,
I can. I can. Okay. Everything that I'm talking about NASCAR's image, that's Kyle Larson. So if this apology, rehabilitation, put him at an all-African-American church and let him sit and speak with hundreds of African-Americans. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, there is a way. Well, you don't seem to think so, but I do. I mean,
no.
I mean,
first off, that's not what I was reacting to. I was reacting to, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Guy utters the N-word, okay? And, I mean, you think that him going to a black church? I mean, first off, get out of here. That's the first thing. You're not going to use us to rehabilitate yourself. So that whole thing disgusts me. I don't find that genuine.
Oh, okay. Well, then whatever it is you find...
That was my reaction.
Whatever it is you find genuine. You just asked me. I threw out 4 or 5 things. You asked me a question. I gave you an immediate answer. You didn't like it. But all I'm saying is that I think there's a rehab you could do. Maybe that's not it.
Mark, you're taking it personally. I was not reacting to you. All right? I was reacting to one of the things that you said, which is something that I hate. That to me is like part of the game. All right, that to me is something that a PR firm sits down and says, okay, here's what we're going to have to do to rehabilitate you. We need to put you in a black church. Okay, we need to. No, that to me is not genuine. That's it. This just, to me, for Kyle Larson to come back, somehow, some way, this has to be organic, not scripted.
Can you be a racist at one point and not be later, or are you always a racist?
Well, I mean, I came to a conclusion in the first hour that, I have friends of mine who've texted me that don't agree with me. I believe if you're a white person and you utter the N-word,
So if you've ever said it, you're a racist? If you said it 30 years ago and haven't said it, I'm just asking a question because, David, I'll come clean. I've said it in my life. I can't tell you the last time I've said the word. I think the word's disgusting. I grew up from when I was 16 and 17 and said stupid crap. So I'm asking you, can you say it? And if you said it once, are you always a racist? That's the question I'm asking you.
No.
So then Kyle Larson can, in your eyes, Kyle Larson can unbecome a racist that you think he is today.
Yes.
Okay.
He's 27.
Right.
Right.
If he were 57, I'd say, yeah, you're pretty much a lost cause. But at 27, I don't think you are. And, hey, I'm a white guy talking, so what the hell do I know?
Well, same here.
So if there are, and you know, I mean, because we live in a market with so many African Americans, if you're listening, I'd love it. Text, call. I would absolutely love to hear from you. I mean, that's to me the ultimate question. 479-5551. 479-5551. The Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line. That's the way to get with us there. You can interact with us on twitch.tv every day, all day. Our buddy Seth Everett was interacting last hour with us.
But I do believe at this point in time, Kyle Larson is a racist. Now, that's my personal belief. If you're 27 years old and you utter that word, you've got issues. Now, does that mean you're going to have those same issues down the road? No, we all evolve. But is NASCAR going to want them?
Well, that's the most important question in this poll question to me. Because I believe he can recover from this. Does NASCAR want him to? Does it help them? And you asked that, how does this help NASCAR? I gave reasons why I thought it did. You poo-pooed those in 14 seconds. So maybe...
No, Mark. Once again, you take everything personally. I showed angst towards one of the things that you said that bothers me. That's all. Has nothing to do with you or you saying it. I hate the whole, okay, you said the N-word. We need to get you in front of a black church.
Okay, what about the other things that I said? I mean,
I got to be honest, I didn't hear them after that.
Well, there you go.
My mind just kind of went zzz.
Because that was actually the third thing that I said. That's why I wondered. But neither here nor there. 479-5551. I would love to hear from anybody that has anybody that's not an old white guy, to be perfectly honest with you. I'd love to hear what people have to say, because I think you can rehabilitate from that. I think David believes you can rehabilitate, but the ultimate question is NASCAR, do they want to let you rehabilitate from that?
And will sponsors be comfortable down the road attaching themselves to him? Because for as much as Chip Ganassi and Kyle Larson races for Ganassi Racing right now, for as much as they are going to want, in theory, sponsors to attach themselves to Ganassi Racing, you attach yourself to the driver. And 2 to 3 years down the road, let's just say, are they going to be able to convince sponsors or whatever race team it is that, hey, it's okay to attach yourself to Kyle Larson? That's, to me, going to be a tough sell. And then is NASCAR really going to want them?
And did get a lot of replies on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing chat line that are on your side. Basically, another one that, I brought up Riley Cooper that he played. They brought up Michael Richards, Kramer. His career was over.
Yeah, pretty much. And Seinfeld tried to rehabilitate it, too. Seinfeld went on Letterman. I mean, Seinfeld tried to speak on Michael Richards' behalf.
Had him on Comedians in Cars. I mean, watched the episode, and it was very heartfelt of their relationship. Did nothing. Someone brings up Fuzzy, who lost Kmart after the comments he made when Tiger won the Masters.
Yeah, he lost a ton of money.
Yes, he did.
A ton, millions in endorsements. Never mind the fact that he's a golfer. He would have had those, in theory, would have had endorsements to go for another 15, 20 years. Absolutely.
So people pointing out both sides, and then we get the text that says, I'd be shocked to see NASCAR, a sponsor, drop someone in NASCAR for that. Well, McDonald's wasted about 8 hours. I mean, they were done with Ganassi Racing by Monday morning. And as David pointed out in our starting five, that's a sponsorship that's been around for a couple of decades between Ganassi Racing and McDonald's.
Now, I'm guessing if Ganassi Racing or when Ganassi Racing dumps Kyle Larson, that McDonald's will come right back. But that, and granted, NASCAR's not racing right now except for the simulator races that they're doing. But, I mean, I'm actually a little surprised that Ganassi Racing didn't fire him.
I'm more surprised by that than, I mean, I was surprised that they had to have McDonald's leave them and they still haven't made a move. Now, and I don't know, David, I'm a little out of my lane here. See, NASCAR lane. But
I got it.
How do the contracts work with the driver? Can they fire a driver at any time? I don't necessarily know how that works. I would think that they could, but I don't know. Is that a 1-year deal? And do they fire him and then have to pay him? I don't know how those things would work.
Well, you're right. Maybe they did it because they're just going through the contract and trying to figure out what it is they're going to do. But it's our poll question. Do you think Kyle Larson still has a career, or do you think that it effectively ended about 36 hours ago?
I wanted to bring a segment to this show in the midst of the coronavirus lockdown that we're all on, and just have the meme of the day, because there is a lot of humor out there, and we desperately need it right now. And most of them are words, and they don't create visuals. But since I began the show talking about my walk yesterday, and David yesterday on his walk, or 2 days ago on David's walk Sunday, he figured out how many COVID-19 tests would be required for the NFL, not just for their players, but for everybody that's traveling, to properly test them at every facility throughout the season. And I believe it was somewhere in the tens of thousands, right, David? You had like 16,000 for CBS, 15,000 for Fox, and however many for the players. But I mean, you're multiplying, dividing, carrying numbers. There might have even been a square root in this thing. That's how impressive it was.
16,000 for Fox for all the NFL and college games that they air. That's how many tests they would have to do. 14,000 for CBS.
Okay.
Mark said throw 20% on top of it just to cover it. I went, all right.
Right.
Fine.
So that was David's walk.
Right. That was a good hour.
I did an hour and 15 minutes yesterday.
Look at you.
Really enjoyed it. Went over the Dunk City overpass, or as I like to call the Hill of Estero. And all I came up with in that 75 minutes was, if you're cheating on your spouse, how are you pulling that off right now?
And until Kyle Larson uttered the N-word, that was going to be our poll question today.
Right. And
brought to you by Ashley Madison.
Right. So I get this meme, and it has a picture of everybody in their hazmat suits wheeling out someone on a gurney in their hazmat suit. It says, for only $3,500, we come to your house dressed as a coronavirus rescue team to rescue you from your wife. We take you to your girlfriend's place for 14 days quarantine and bring you back home afterward. That there
nice.
Is my meme of the day.
There you go.
That made me smile. We also were let known Credit One Bank dumped Larson. Now, McDonald's dumped Ganassi.
Right.
And I'm guessing Credit One Bank dumped Ganassi. It's Larson's car, but that's why I'm going to have to I want to spend a little time after the show because figure out how these contracts work. Because I'm with you. How Larson's still employed by Ganassi today is beyond me.
Well, but like you pointed out, this might just be a technicality. Give the lawyers a day or two to go through the contracts. And, the other thing is Ganassi's first reaction is probably they're fond of Kyle Larson. Their first reaction is probably not to want to fire him, but then they want to see what the fallout is. Is this something he can survive? Is this something we can survive? Can we make it through this? So I think it's tough to make it through this. I do. And I think it's tough and I think if it was not a sponsorship-driven sport, if it was another team sport, if it was an individual sport, I certainly think he would have a second and third opportunity. I do. But in a sport that is sponsorship money to racing is recruiting to college sports. It is its lifeblood. And I think that's a tough one to overcome. 479-5551. 479-5551. Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing. Text and talk line. You know, Ben's got a chuckle. I mean, we got to start having Ben on about something that doesn't involve spring football. Because we used to have him on regularly about things that didn't involve spring football. But in the last 2 years, we've only brought him on to talk the AAF and the XFL. You know, he may be happier than you, Mark, that another spring league has failed, because now he's also thinking he's pretty sure he's done covering spring league football.
But it's his niche. Now what's he going to do?
But it didn't used to be his niche. And I think that this is a guy craving a new niche. And he's got it. Because the XFL is done. Ben Kercheval of CBS Sports will join us coming up in about a dozen minutes. Sean McIndoe, who covers the NHL for The Athletic, is also co-host of the Puck Soup podcast, along with our buddy Greg Wyshynski. He will join us coming up at the top of the hour, and we are an hour away from Pat Kerwin since we are 9 days away from the NFL draft. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us and for watching on our Twitch and YouTube Miller and Moulton channels.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
I do not believe we're going to have NFL OTAs. Those are in late May. My opinion has always been best case scenario is July. At this point, I do think we'll have an NFL season. If you're a new coach with a new system, with a young quarterback, and you can't meet, what a massive disadvantage.
Colin Cowherd. Weekdays at noon on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
Guys, the physicians and staff at Center for Men's Health want you to know that C4MH.com is open and will remain open through this entire ordeal. C4MH.com has taken a multitude of steps to make their offices the safest places they can be. And here's a few examples that make that statement a fact. C4MH.com treats all offices with Microban 24, the most advanced antivirus disinfectant available today. And unlike any other disinfectant, Microban 24 kills viruses for 24 hours after application, touch after touch. The staff wears level 1 procedure masks, and you can have one too. They monitor their temperatures, and soon they'll do the same for you when you walk in the door. All pens and clipboards are antimicrobial, and when you walk in, you will use hand sanitizer. C4MH.com
or
prepared
we
for this early, so
will
that both
take
their
you
staff
down.
and patients remain safe. Safe is the way it's always been at C4MH.com, and I know because I'm a patient there too.
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
I'm a busy person. Catch the show anytime. Check out MillerandMoulton.com and subscribe to the daily podcasts.
Ever purchased an online item and either it doesn't fit, has missing parts, or became damaged? Trying to save a few bucks can end up costing more. My Shower Door is a locally owned and operated family business that measures, manufactures, and installs our own brand of frameless shower doors right here in Southwest Florida. And we were just named Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year. With almost 80,000 shower doors installed, we have the experience and expertise. Plus, estimates are always free. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdoor.com.
Gulf Shore Business wants you to vote for the best in Southwest Florida. Go online to gulfshorebusiness.com to see the ballot highlighting locally owned and operated businesses. Vote for the best in these categories: business, finance, and insurance, legal, marketing, commercial, building and real estate, business services, and dining and drinks. We all have our favorites. Don't miss your chance to support yours. Voting ends at midnight on April 15th. It's the best in business, presented by gulfshorebusiness.com. That's gulfshorebusiness.com.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor, the Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. LED color-changing pool lights can create an after-dark backyard oasis. Pick your color or select one of the light shows. You can see how dramatic it really is on our website. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
Here we go. Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
Your life.
$23 past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming foxsportsfm.com, which is where you can go for the binge TV watching brackets. Wife and I really getting into Ozark.
It's a terrific show. Terrific show.
Obviously, we're on it pretty late since they're already, into or through season 3?
Well, I mean, with any of these Netflix, once they're up, they go up all at once. So it's not, got to bring you in here. This isn't every Sunday at 9. This is once season 3's up, David, it's up all at once.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying we are still fairly late to the game here.
It's all right. It's only better late than never. You didn't.
I agree. Well, heck, we only signed up for Netflix about 6 weeks ago. I mean, that's how late into the game we were.
Why didn't you just steal your daughter's account?
We don't really roll that way.
Well, are you going to let her dump her account and use yours now?
Now that we would do.
I mean, I've got my mother and my son on both my Apple Music and my Netflix to take care of them. It never. Now I start paying. The reversal happens. You start paying for a few things for mom once in a while, which is always a good thing.
Right. If she'd let me, I'd love to do it.
My favorite thing in the world because my father was someone who would never let me pay for anything. And even if I tried to buy a beer, he'd get all ticked off. So I finally got my dad a cell phone. My dad, it'll be 2-3 years since he's passed away, come May. And I bought him a cell phone for Christmas. And it was an old flip phone with big numbers. Basically, you went into Verizon and said, what's the best phone for the old guy? And they said, this one. That's the one we need, big buttons. And he loved it because he quit getting robocalls on his house phone. He dumped his house phone. What he didn't know for the remainder of his life is that I paid his bill every month. I don't know if my father just assumed that once you got a cell phone,
that was it,
that there was no bills, that you just bought this phone and magically you could talk on it forever. And my parents are long divorced, but they got along well. And when family things would go on, obviously both my mom and dad would be here. And so my mother was well aware that I was paying my dad's cell phone bill. And I would just say, Mom, bait Dad. Just ask him who his coverage is. See if he uses Verizon. Just somehow, some way, try to get into a cell phone conversation to see what it is he pays and see if he can figure it out. And he just never seemed to get it. She was, well, what do you, I don't know. And he just didn't seem to get, well, how do you pay for your bill? I don't know. And it never dawned on him. And my dad, rest in peace. But the one thing I was able to pull over on him is I got to pay for his cell phone bill for a couple of years without him knowing.
My mother pulled that off on her mom. All the years. All right. Grandma sitting there at the kitchen table, listening to the show on her phone. All right. Oh, yeah. All those years. Grandma Pretty sharp, obviously.
Right.
And lived to be 95. But, yep, Mom was able, I think, to convince her that, hey, once you get the phone, then, that's it. So, a couple $100 for the phone. Oh, okay, all right, yep. And so all those years, my mom was tickled to death, all right, that she was able to pull that off.
So it will make me smile until I reach my demise. I mean, that is just, I was so happy I could pull that over on Dad, because it is tough to do when they've made the determination that you will not ever pay for anything again.
So, yes, I let people glom off me. I'm not someone that likes to glom off someone else. I even have to let my mother know. I'm 54. I got 6 jobs. I can take care of this. I mean, don't get me wrong. None of them pay well, and I don't have benefits. But I got 6 jobs. I can cover this. I'm good.
And who knows if it will be 6 jobs for long, if it will be just 5 and volunteer work soon. 479-5551.
479-5551 on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line.
Got your caller.
We may be the volunteer sports network, David. We do not mean Tennessee anytime soon.
He's Ben Kercheval. He covers, many things for CBS Sports. Unfortunately, the last 2 years he's been assigned to cover spring football. Unfortunately, now for Ben, he will never have to cover a spring football league again. You can follow Ben on Twitter at Ben Kercheval. Ben, in all seriousness, how are you and your family doing while holed up here these recent weeks?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. Appreciate you asking. Thank you.
Did this catch you by surprise, by shock, the events of last Friday?
Yes and no. I think anytime you cancel your inaugural season 6 weeks into it, you have a global pandemic that absolutely no sport, no individual person is immune to. I don't think you can be completely surprised when it shuts down. Vincent McMahon is many things. He is not greater than this. So, no, not completely shocked at the same time. A month ago seems like a decade now. A month ago when they canceled the season, they seemed pretty optimistic that they would be able to return in 2021. But, I was talking to a team source last Friday, one of the people who was laid off by this, and, they said, look, we were told 2 years of funding, and I believe that to be true, but there's funding, and then there's funding in a global pandemic, and that changes the thing entirely, and that's what you had here. So certainly a major about-face, a major 180, but I think when you look at it through a bigger lens, I don't think you can look at it and be completely stunned by it.
Ben, how much of this has to do with the fact that the WWE is struggling in the ways that it is? I mean, is this just, he was set to lose a lot of money, but he knew he had the coffers wide open with wrestling. And obviously with the pandemic, wrestling's not making any money. Is this more a result of the WWE or the lack of complete success of the XFL?
It's probably a little bit of both. I would say that certainly the hit that Vince took on the WWE played a massive role in it. I don't think there's any denying that. At the same time, when you look at the future of the XFL standing on its own merit, after 6 weeks, guys, it's an incomplete product. It's not, and it, it was good, but it's certainly, I don't think, good enough to be able to stand on its own and have a future when you haven't even been able to, complete an entire season. So you look at, the economic future, a lot of uncertainty there. Your future as a league is going to rely heavily in part on, can you renegotiate a new television contract? Well, again, is anyone willing to try to extend this thing? If you don't have a full season under your belt, that's not a lot for people to be able to look at things conclusively and completely and say, okay, yes, this was successful enough that we want to give it another go. I mean, obviously ratings are going to decline over the weeks anyway, but you don't ever have a chance to see if they level off or if they come back up towards the end of the year. So I think it's just many things that are involved in this.
Talk with Ben Kercheval of CBS Sports. Follow him on Twitter at Ben Kercheval. You think this is it? I mean, it's difficult to imagine the two entities that have tried this in the last 2 years with much fanfare, using just about every network that carries sports between the two, or at least football, and neither one of them could make it a complete season. I mean, it's difficult for me to imagine, Ben, that you ever have to cover another spring league.
First of all, I liked covering it. I mean, I liked it. I liked it because it was, I like opportunity. I like the entrepreneurial spirit. I mean, I like that part of it. So I never viewed it as like a real terrible thing, like a burden.
Well, we don't either. We don't either. I was just a flippant comment. That's all. Of your many assignments, one of them has been spring football. My thought is,
I will say this: I'm getting married next year. I definitely don't want to have to cover spring football while I'm planning a wedding. So there is that part of it. So anyway, in all seriousness, look, the AAF shuttered for completely different reasons. That was at the top. I mean, obviously with the XFL. This is a situation that it affected a lot of sports, and no one really could have predicted that it would have been like this. I certainly the XFL is not coming back in 2021. They just filed bankruptcy. The league's up for sale. I know that in his heart of hearts, McMahon wants to try to give this another go at some point down the road where he could have a chance at a full season. But I mean, literally in this case, guys, sometimes the universe just doesn't want you to have spring football.
There is no doubt about that, Ben. This because Ben, this is the hypothetical that we'll never know, because you brought up the ratings, but the ratings were better than a lot of other television programming out there. The ratings were certainly good enough to get networks to continue to air this. If the TV ratings just stayed pretty flat to where they were in weeks 2 and 3 there, does this league survive long term? Do they get a big enough TV deal? Because Vince did this basically for the next TV deal. Do you think the ratings were good enough to get a TV deal that this league could have one day made money?
Yeah, I think they absolutely would have gotten, a year 2. I think that would have been the real critical time to decide whether you would get like a year 3, year 4. I think they were on track for it, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's another just unfortunate part of everything that's happened over the last month is I do think they were on to something great. I mean, again, it's not perfect. The long-term viability is not only about TV ratings, but, how do you get your talent? I think it has to flow up. I don't know that you can just survive forever on spare NFL parts. I think you have to be able to find a way to get kids out of college and come to the league. So there were some things that still would have to happen for that league to succeed, but I think they were bits and pieces that you could absolutely work with.
Ben, I'm somebody that wants spring football and deep down thinks it can work despite all the evidence over the last 20 years to the contrary. But the one conclusion that I've come to recently is if someone's ever going to try this again, they have to do it after the draft. I remember the original USFL, it was much more of a spring league. I don't believe they kicked off during the winter. I remember really good weather USFL games, even in the Northeast. And to me, March Madness killed the AAF from a rating standpoint, and it was killing the XFL from a rating standpoint. I don't see how a spring league can make it through March Madness, and then you get swallowed up by the NFL draft, and then your season's over. To me, I think it needs to start the weekend of the draft and end July 4th. Does that make sense?
So do you want to compete then with the NBA and the NHL postseason?
Yes. I want to get away. First off, there's enough of an NFL offseason that I think you can just leave the NFL alone from the Super Bowl to the draft. They make enough news, they're fine. The real drought for the football fan is May, June, and July. There's no college, there's no NFL, there's no news. So, feed that hunger, if you will, then, and then say, knock yourselves out, boys, for college and pro. We'll see you after the draft.
The one thing that I would differ on a little bit there is especially, and I would say this is especially true at the XFL. I think the AAF did not tap into this in the way that the XFL did. What you're really banking on with sort of the casual fan, because, again, there's no, other than PJ Walker guys, like there wasn't star power in the XFL, right? It's not, you'll get some diehard football fans, but by and large, what you're banking on is some casual fans kind of joining the fray. And how you get them is through other niches. Gambling was a really big part of their product, fantasy, those types of other things where you can get into the game in various ways. So whether you do that in February through April, where the sport of football is still kind of fresh on everyone's minds, I think if you tap into those other parts, that's really where your success is. Now, whether you have that in February through April or May through July, or whatever time of year is, if you're hammering those parts, then I think you probably have a chance. I didn't have a problem with the time slot that they set up, because there was a period where I think like one weekend there was the Lakers versus Celtics game, and I was covering one of the XFL games, and even I wanted to watch like Lakers. Even I wanted to switch the channel. So if you're talking about NBA playoffs, I think that's really going to take a large chunk of your eyeballs. This was a period of time where you might have still had a little bit of buffer going on. So I differ slightly on that. That being said, if the Spring League is ever going to succeed, you absolutely probably could experiment with a couple of different spots just to see if you can find that sweet spot.
And Ben, finally, what'd you think of the talent? How was the football? And do you think the NFL wants a spring league, or do they want the months of build-up that sometimes less is more?
The talent was okay. Again, it was very little star power. You had PJ Walker, who, look, for all the fanfare of PJ Walker, he's getting probably a backup job in Carolina. He I don't even know that PJ Walker would be good enough to start in the NFL. But you'll have some guys on an individual level who were good enough to play for the Shield, just because they were sort of fringe NFL guys anyway, but for one reason or another, they were never able to really land a starting job. So, the talent was good. I wouldn't qualify it as great necessarily, and I think you could see that in the level of play. As for the NFL, I don't think they care. They're so big and mighty that, like a really great example of this actually would be Kenny Robinson. This was the guy who played for the St. Louis Battlehawks. He started. He was the guy who came out of West Virginia early. He would have been eligible for the draft here in about 9 days. And he went and he played for the XFL, and he started, and he was a playmaker for them. If you're an NFL team, you're looking at a guy like Kenny Robinson and saying, okay, he's young. He would normally be entering the league right now. And now he's a little bit more of a proven commodity than a lot of guys coming out of college. So even though the XFL would want to stand on its own, there's no way that you would ever stop guys going to the NFL if they're successful in a league like that. So for the NFL, I actually qualify a little bit as not insurance, but I think there's a little bit of like, okay, now we have a little bit more tape on a guy that we otherwise wouldn't have maybe drafted or looked at.
Ben, congratulations on your engagement. Be safe, be well, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
All right, thank you, guys. Take care now.
Ben Kercheval covered the XFL for CBS Sports. Follow Ben on Twitter at Ben Kercheval, Kercheval. Ben Kercheval, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Mark, do you see a spring league in the next 5 years?
No, I don't.
I don't either.
I don't. Look, unless the NFL wants one. The only league that's out there as a minor league that has a possibility of working has to be owned by the National Football League. It is the only chance that this has. Has anybody not figured this out yet? And the other thing, see, here's the part of it. Why does baseball's minor league work? They flip the bill for all the players. Let people, if you want to let someone own the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Steelers, and they're a combination of Philly and Pittsburgh's farm club, but the players are all provided by Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, then that can work. I don't see how, and I've said this from the beginning, every one of these leagues focuses on football coaches, that they overpay. They think this is the NFL, and they pay these guys six figures to run a league of a bunch of guys no one's ever heard of. It's laughable. Their business model sucks. They've never had a clue how to run a minor league sport. It's why I gave Vince credit, and Vince was working in some spots because he went and put in infrastructure. He put in ticket sales departments. Vince was the guy that had a shot at making this work because nobody knows how to promote better than Vince McMahon. And
he had the deep pockets, and he had the network affiliations, and it was all a matter of, before COVID, it was going to be a 2-year rollout, and then he was hoping to get ESPN and Fox or anybody else who wanted to get in the bidding because he wanted to bid to televise our games, and that's how we were going to be, solvent. But obviously didn't get to that point because they weren't getting any money from ESPN and Fox to run these games. And it was interesting because there were some markets, just like the AAF was working in a big way in Orlando and in San Antonio. The XFL had markets like St. Louis in which they were getting 30,000 people at their games. You're like, man, this could work. And, yeah, I don't see one in the next decade, to be honest with you. I don't see one before the 2030s. And you're right, Mark. I think if it happens, it's going to happen with the NFL somehow involved. Ben Kercheval joining us here on Miller and Moulton. Today was the day when, coming up, Sean McAdoo to talk a little NHL next hour. That's if there's an NHL. We'll get Sean's insight on that. And Pat Kerwin in about 40 minutes' time. The draft is 9 days away. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Teresa O'Shea with Wink News. Right now, 1,186 confirmed cases of coronavirus in Southwest Florida. The number of deaths in our area is now 32. Statewide, just over 21,000 people are battling the virus. Starting today, anyone entering the fresh market must wear a face covering to protect customers and employees. The grocery chain has locations in Fort Myers, Naples, Bonita Springs, and Marco Island. At least 66 NCH employees are under quarantine right now after a potential exposure at their downtown Baker Hospital. At Lee Health, 122 employees are quarantined at home. Starting today, Collier County libraries are offering paper applications to file for unemployment. They'll have tables set up outside to grab a form to alleviate the delays with applying online. The president is telling governors it's up to him, not them, when the country reopens. Today, he'll meet with recovered patients and healthcare executives before addressing the nation tonight at 5 o'clock. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News, facts, not fear.
Oh, love your new TV and the sound. It's amazing. But where are the speakers? It's like they're invisible.
They are invisible. It's the coolest new technology, and they're the best speakers on the market.
It's crazy. I've heard of wireless speakers, but invisible speakers? That's epic.
Epic Audio and Video invites you to experience invisible speakers for yourself. You won't believe your ears or your eyes. Visit Epic Audio Video Showroom on the corner of US 41 and Pine Ridge in Naples, or online at epicaudiovideo.com.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec wood. Look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floormeisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
Do you like me?
Like Miller and Moulton on Facebook. Just search Miller and Moulton.
You like that?
No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us at 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
Here we go! Now back to Miller and Moulton. No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"11 minutes before the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio. Chime into the show on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line, 479-5551, 479-5551. Our poll question, Kyle Larson, a NASCAR driver, if you don't know who he is, he uttered the N-word in a moment of frustration during the I race on Sunday. He has been suspended by Ganassi Racing. He's lost 2 of his main sponsors. And our poll question is, does he have a racing future? Yay or nay? I say no. I say he's done. Mark thinks he'll get a second chance at some point.
Brian chimed in on Twitter, said a reminder to everyone that every day is an opportunity to revisit areas of your life that needs change or forgiveness. Racism stems more from ignorance than hate. However, there is no justification for either. Pivotal learning moment of his life, much less his career. Thank you for chiming in, Brian. We appreciate everybody interacting with us, and you can do it probably easier than anywhere else on twitch.tv. You can watch, you can chat. In fact, even some of our guests pop up in the chat room from time to time. For the poll question today, little under 57% of you right now saying that Kyle Larson's career is over. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. But now it is time for
Miller and Moulton's Today Was the Day When, giving you the history of today's date so you're a beacon of useless knowledge around the office.
Useless, but a lot of fun to talk about.
This is Today Was the Day When. Fox Sports Radio and FoxSportsFM.com.
1865, Ford Theater, Washington, Abraham Lincoln shot by John Wilkes Booth today. 1903, maybe we need this guy back. Dr. Harry Plotz discovers a vaccine against typhoid. We need our Harry Plotz right now, David. That's all I'm saying. Where's Plotz? 1912, the Titanic hits an iceberg off of Newfoundland. That would be it. 1948, The Leafs go back-to-back, 7-2 over Detroit in a 4-0 series sweep. 7 years later, the Wings go back-to-back, this time defeating the Canadiens, 3-1 in Game 7.
And that 55 title lasted, 40-plus years, right? Until they won it in 97?
Yep.
That was their last title.
Yes, it was. 1960, the Canadiens beat the Leafs in a sweep. It was the 5th consecutive Stanley Cup for Les Habitants.
Don't you love how this is when the finals were ending?
Yes.
And we would be at like Game 2 or Game 3 of the first round of the playoffs if we had an NHL season
Correct.
right now.
Also in 1960, Motown is incorporated. They would do pretty well. 1963, George Harrison went and watched this unsigned group named the Rolling Stones. He was impressed. So was everybody else. 1964, David, Sandy Koufax throws his 9th complete game without allowing a walk. I just want everybody to listen to that. His 9th complete game, 81 innings.
Right.
No walks. Can we get through 2 innings of a baseball game without a walk?
Now, I will say it was a bigger strike zone then. They had the high strike then. Remember, you could throw those looping curveballs. You could get the high strike. It's obviously an obscene stat there. But I will say there was a high strike back then.
Screw your high strike. It's 81 innings. All right? Nobody else did it. I mean, I don't see a list of 14 guys here that threw 9 complete games without a walk.
Once again, I am not trying to in any way. I'm just saying that a pitch that was at the belt or even at the navel was a strike.
How am I the a-hole of the two of us when I give a stat like that and your comment is, well, they had the high strike?
I was not trying to dismiss it. I was just pointing out it's not today's strike zone.
Very
That's
good.
all.
All 68, first NBA game in the Madison Square Garden. The Knicks beat the San Diego Clippers.
Wow.
Also in 68, the 32nd Masters. Bob Golby shoots 66 to win his only major. 1 stroke ahead of Robert DiVincenzo, who signed the incorrect scorecard.
You know, Golby got such a bad deal. Golby did nothing wrong. Golby played great on the weekend. DiVincenzo finished ahead of Golby, 3 holes ahead. I mean, they didn't put the leaders in the final groups back then. DiVincenzo was in the clubhouse. It was done. And nobody knew he had made the error except for DiVincenzo. When the announcers, if you were to ever see the old clips, say, and we'll have a playoff tomorrow. And as he's walking off, they let him know, you won.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. 74, Gary Player wins his second, 2 ahead of Dave Stockton and Tom Weiskopf. 85, Bernhard Langer wins ahead of 2 of Ballesteros, Strange, and Floyd, first German champion. Ian Woosnam gets his only major in 91, beating Olazabal by 1. Chicago Blackhawks that same night would become the first NHL regular season champion in 20 years to lose in the first round of the playoffs when the North Stars would take them out. 1996, Feldo wins his third, 5 ahead of Greg Norman.
Down 6 at the start of the day, wins by 5.
Right.
67-78.
Wow. Tiger wins in 02, 3 ahead of Retief Goosen. Adam Scott wins in 2013. Watch that last week. What a great shot by Cabrera on 18 after Scott had birdied 18. And then Cabrera nearly birdies 18 again, nearly birdies 10, and then loses eventually to Scott. And a year ago, Tiger wins his 5th. If you were born today, you share your birthday with Pete Rose, 79 years old today. Richie Blackmore, the guitarist who played with Rainbow and Deep Purple, 75. David Justice and Greg Maddox, both 54 years old today. The late Steve Chason would have been 53. Anthony Michael Hall is 52. Go watch The Breakfast Club and imagine that he's now 52 years old.
1 minute.
Mark Macon, the pride of Saginaw Buena Vista High School, is 51 years old today. Steve Avery is 50. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is 43. And Baker Mayfield celebrating his 25th that is
Think
today was the day when.
Think Baker's going to make it?
Yes. I do. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar, but he'll be good.
Okay.
I see a Tony Romo type career out of Baker Mayfield.
Oh, well, that's a very good career.
Right. That's kind of the guy I see him as.
Because if you think about it, I mean, where Jameis and Mariota were after their first 2 years, you could argue they were in every bit or they had accomplished even more than what Baker has accomplished. Miller and Molt. Thanks so much for being with us right here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. You should be driving a Kia from Galliana. Galliana Kia.
We're here, we're open, and we're on a mission to make a difference at Galliana Kia in Fort Myers. Our service and parts departments are
Oh, I don't think that either of you guys are wrong with the video and the. But
with 0% financing for 72 months.
You look back at the Ray Rice. Every single women's group out there wanted Ray Rice back in the league because they're all, and it's totally different. Racism and domestic violence are totally different, and neither of them are, obviously condonable. But a lot of the women's groups thought that Rice being blackballed would prevent other women from going forward if they were in a spot where the man made all the money. I don't get. I think David's right. It's on NASCAR. I think Larson would get another chance otherwise. It's whether or not NASCAR wants it. And you're right. There's audio, and they'll be able to play it.
We made it through March Sadness, but we're going to answer the question everyone is asking. What TV show is most binge-worthy? The Sopranos? Game of Thrones? Seinfeld? Let your sheltered voice be heard. Fill out the Miller and Moulton binge-worthy bracket at foxsportsfm.com and watch if your show advances. All thanks to France Eye Care, Jimmy P's Chard, Brooks Gourmet Burgers, Kobe Cooley, and your sports. Even though there are no sports station, Fox Sports Radio.
There will be parties again soon and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census.
So, David, everybody in Michigan's freaking out because apparently they can't garden. I mean, they're all losing their effing minds right now. And obviously, I have quite a few friends in that state. My favorite meme out of the Michigan people today. Today's episode of Facebook, hundreds of Michiganders that have never had a garden in their entire lives are mad that they can't start gardening during a week of freezing temperatures. You can't make this crap up. You're muted. Are you muted? I'm not hearing you. That's weird. Now I've got you up and I can't hear you. Oh, all right. We'll talk in a minute.
Got your caller.
Okay, great.
There's only one way to wake up in the morning.
How the heck are you?
Yep, that's it. Miller.
This could end the bro hug. That would be great for you because there is nobody worse at the bro hug than one David Moulton.
And Moulton.
I used to be. 2019, I found my bro hug group.
Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
All guests appear on the Goldberg Noon Abraham hotline. Goldberg-law.com.
Yes! Oh, I like it! It's up to you now! It's up to you! I like it!
Now, the best local sports show this town has ever heard. Here's Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
Couple minutes past 8 o'clock on this Tuesday, the 14th of April. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at foxsportsfm.com and broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton Twitch and YouTube channels. 479-5551 is how you can chime in to the show on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text and talk line. Joining us on the Goldberg Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline, Goldberg-Law.com, is Sean McIndoe. He covers the NHL for The Athletic, co-host of the Puck Soup podcast. Follow him on Twitter at DownGoesBrown. Sean, top of the morning to you. How are you and your family doing during all this?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're all holding up well under the circumstances. So, no complaints there.
Sean?
Good to hear.
Yeah, it is good to hear. Sean, how many different plans are you aware of, if any, that the NHL have? How many different scenarios are they trying to do it, and when is the earliest that they think possibly that their first scenario starts?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point now with the NHL where I'm starting to think that there are so many different plans and so many variations that kind of one plan bleeds into the next. I don't even know if there's a number. I don't know if Gary Bettman could give you a number. They've just got so many different scenarios and that they're keeping the door open on. And that's the right way to handle it right now. I mean, at this point, none of us know what tomorrow or next week is going to look like, let alone a month or a couple of months from now. So they are exploring all the options. They are not letting themselves get pinned down, and some of those options are best case scenarios that sound a lot like a resumption of a normal season, and some of them get very strange and get way out there, and I don't think we're particularly close to getting an answer, and it's also something that's going to be largely out of the NHL's control. I think they're going to be watching what other sports do. They're going to be watching what the situation is in the various markets that they're in, and my guess is that a month, maybe 2 months from now, it'll be pretty clear which is the right way to go. But right now, we don't have that, and so they're doing exactly what they should do, which is not saying no to any idea that anyone comes up with, no matter how crazy.
Sean, how much talk is there of how late they can go? Because one could argue, while it's far from ideal, but if you're going to have a multi-month layoff, you could have one season go into the next, because most teams will be off. Only a few teams will be playing until the very end, and everybody will have, in theory, gotten kind of back in shape. I mean, I'm just wondering, is there hey, listen, we got to have our season done by Labor Day? Have you heard of a drop dead, we can't play hockey past this date point?
No, I haven't, and that's a little bit surprising, because I think when this first happened and the NHL first hit pause, there was a feeling among a lot of us that, well, geez, they got to get it back out there relatively quick, because you can't play hockey too deep into the summer, if only because you're playing in these warm weather markets. The ice is going to be a mess. And the league has come back and they've said, actually, no, we don't think so. We've made a lot of progress in terms of the quality of the ice, especially in warm weather places. Playing all those outdoor games helps. They've learned a few things. They seem to feel that, at least in terms of the quality of the ice the players are playing on, they can go pretty much any time. And so then you start thinking about it. You look at other things, and I know one of the concerns was if the Summer Olympics ended up going this year, the NHL didn't want to be competing against that. They've got their TV deal with NBC. They didn't want to be coming back and having no TV coverage in the States because it was all hands on deck for the Olympics. Now that's not going to happen, so that's no longer in the way. The main thing that does seem to keep coming up is that the NHL would strongly prefer to play a full season next year. They understand that the revenue hit that they're going to take this year is going to be severe. That's going to hit the teams. It's going to hit the players as well. They split everything 50-50 with the owners. So everybody's taking a hit. There's really no way to avoid that. They would very much like to get back to normal, or at least back to something close to normal next year, and that means playing a full season. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to start that full season the first week of October like you normally would. If you could push things back, maybe you start in November, maybe you squeeze things as you go. You get rid of the All-Star break, get rid of the bye week, and you can potentially be done 2021 playoffs by not that much later than you normally would. That is a possibility. That doesn't feel very realistic because you're squishing an awful lot of hockey in, and you're asking an awful lot of these players to basically, in some cases, be going 14, 15 months. That's a really tough ask, but it is still on the table because this league very much would like to get both a Stanley Cup handed out this year and something close to a full season in terms of how many games are played next year.
Sean, if I were to say which one's more important, my guess would be the 2021 season. As we've discussed, there is no league more dependent upon the gate than the National Hockey League. And the idea of playing without fans, although maybe fulfilling a season is terrific, it's not going to help all that much from a revenue standpoint. Isn't 2021 really and truly financially more important than what they do in 2020?
That's the key word right there, is financially, because I think if you were to ask hockey fans which is more important to them, would you rather see a Stanley Cup handed out this year in something close to a normal playoff situation, and then maybe next year it's a 60-game season. Maybe we scrap some of those games in October, November that nobody remembers anyway. I think you get pretty close to unanimous agreement from fans that they want to see the playoffs this year, and if that means a shorter season, then they're okay with it. But you're absolutely right. From an NHL's financial perspective, which is going to be their top priority, that might tip the scales over to the other side because, this is a league. The TV contract is nice, but it's not a deal breaker. It's not something like the NBA where you've got billions of dollars at stake and you got to make sure you get out there if you possibly can and finish the season. NHL's not in that situation. NHL, far more so than any other league, it's about how many tickets do we sell, how many beers do we sell, how many parking spots, all of that sort of thing, as well as some of the corporate sponsorships, which maybe would still come in with some revenue if you're playing without fans. But yeah, this is a league, as you said, very dependent on the gate, far more so than the other leagues. Doesn't have that great big TV contract to fall back on. So if it comes down to a dollars and cents decision, as strange as it would sound to the average fan, the NHL might choose regular season hockey in October over a Stanley Cup being awarded in the summer.
He's Sean McIndoe. He covers the league for The Athletic, co-host of the Puck Soup podcast. You can follow Sean on Twitter at DownGoesBrown. How married is the NHL to finishing this regular season? Because I don't think the NBA has to, because there's such a difference between the playoff teams and the non-playoff teams. But in the NHL, you've got 5 teams within 3 points of one another for the final playoff spots in the East. It's a bit of a mess also in the West. It seems as if either they have to come up with a hard and true formula to determine who the playoff teams are with no more regular season games, or they need to have a week or 2 weeks of regular season hockey, even if it's just the teams fighting for playoff spots play one another to determine who in fact makes it. How married do you think the league is to having some sort of regular season, or are all the plans you're hearing, Sean, have going straight to the playoffs?
How married? You know what? It's like a lot of marriages. There is the best case scenario of what they might like, and then there's what they're probably actually going to get. I think, yes, ideally they would love to finish the regular season, and we've heard that, again, both from the league as well as from a lot of the players, because they know that if they don't finish that season, that's a lot of revenue gone, which means that's a lot of their paycheck that's gone. But realistically, it's just so hard to imagine when you look forward and you think about the time crunches that we're going to be facing and when things might be ready to start again, if they are anytime soon. It's very hard to sit there and say that every team's going to play the 10 or 12 games that they've got left in the regular season. So you're already talking about condensing it down. And then that brings up all sorts of other issues. Like, are you really going to tell the Detroit Red Wings or the Ottawa Senators or the LA Kings, teams that are way out of the playoffs, would have nothing to play for at the best of times? Are you going to tell them they got to leave their families, leave their communities, come back so that they can play 2 or 3 games? That just seems strange to me. It seems like something I think there might be some pushback on. Not to mention, unfair as it would seem to say, some team's going to miss the playoffs by a few points because they didn't get to play a full season, is it fair if that team makes the playoffs by going out and beating the New Jersey Devils 12-1 because the Devils have nothing to play for and just want to go home? Is that a situation you want? The answer might be, as you kind of touched on, is you basically draw a line somewhere and say these teams are still in the running for playoffs, and they're the only teams we're going to worry about, and they're going to play each other. It'll be some sort of play-in. It'll be kind of a little bit like the Major League Baseball wild card play-in where you've got a few teams playing in short series. Maybe it's one game, preferably best 2 out of 3. The one nice bonus to doing something like that, and this is a plan that's been floated around a bit, is if you expanded the list of playoff teams from the usual 16 down to 24. If you said, let's take the 24 best teams right now and we can have some sort of play-in tournament, geez, just a coincidence, going to 24 teams happens to just get you the Montreal Canadiens and the Chicago Blackhawks, 2 of your very biggest markets, very biggest TV audiences. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to get both of those teams into this thing? And I think the NHL is looking at that. Financially, that would be pretty attractive. The flip side of it is just, man, you look at this and you say, how are we going to get 4 rounds of regular playoffs, let alone doing even more on top of that to expand it out? So everything is on the table, and I think they're certainly looking at some sort of scenario there. But I can't see them making these bad teams come back to play 2 games that nobody's going to want to have any part of playing.
No doubt there. Sean, I am someone who spent the majority of my life working in minor league hockey as a broadcaster before settling in on this talk show thing. And while we have a team in our backyard here in the ECHL that does really well, I am worried for the minor leagues, for the junior leagues. How concerned should hockey be, not about the NHL, but about the E? About some of these other minor leagues. I think the A survives, but this is something that could crush minor league hockey, in my opinion. Is there any sentiment that this will affect the other leagues, and how much so?
I think you raise a great point, and it absolutely should be a concern. It's not something I've heard a ton of, mainly because I mean people are just they're worried about the NHL at this point,
right,
and what that's going to look like going forward. But yeah, I mean we talked about the NHL being largely gate dependent. I mean these minor leagues they're completely gate dependent. There's no big TV deals there. There's nothing other than how many bodies can you get into the rink to come and watch this stuff, and yeah, certainly. A lot of them, if they have to be shut down for a while, that's going to have an impact. And then even if we do come back, how many of your season ticket holders, how many of your best fans aren't going to feel comfortable coming back into a building? How many of them lost their own jobs and aren't looking to spend what little amount of discretional spending they've got left on minor league hockey tickets? There's any number of ways that this is going to ripple through all of society. And yeah, that is certainly a legitimate concern. And then, what does that look like for the hockey world and hockey ecosystem if suddenly you don't have these lower minor leagues that a lot of fans probably don't think about very much day to day, but that serve a purpose. And whether that's giving you the next generation of players or giving you the next generation of fans, we all know hockey is a sport that is best experienced in person. You go to the game and that's where you fall in love with it. If you don't have that and you don't have that opportunity for fans in pockets all across, especially the United States, what does that look like going forward? It's a scary question, and it's one that at some point the hockey world is going to have to reckon with.
Sean, a final question for me is, hockey salary cap is all dependent on what last year's revenue was. And now you can project it out, but I'm guessing the season comes back even, revenue for this year is not going to be what it was projected. And if the cap is off by, say, $5 million, I mean, that's a second-line defenseman or a second-line winger. I mean, $5 million in the NHL is a ton of money cap-wise if you lose it. I mean, are there concerns going forward that next year's going to be a bit messy because, well, there's going to be a lot of free agents because the cap's going to be low?
Yep, that is certainly something to consider. It's funny. It feels like it was years ago, but it was only about a week before all of this happened and everything shut down that Gary Bettman was telling us the cap was going to go up to about $88 million. It's about 83 now. So there's your $5 million increase. That a lot of teams had earmarked for improving, or even for just keeping the roster that they had with younger guys getting higher salaries. And now clearly it's not going to be going up. That implies revenue's up. Revenue isn't going to be up. Revenue is going to be way down. There's some estimates that say if this is it, if the NHL season is over, you're talking about maybe 60-70% of your revenue from a normal season. Now, in theory, that means next year's salary cap goes down to 60 or 70% of what it is now. So you're talking not even $5 million, you're talking tens of millions. That isn't going to happen because that doesn't benefit either the owners or the players. There's no reason, especially if they feel like they can play a full season next year and get somewhere close to a regular revenue situation. It doesn't benefit everyone to blow up 31 different teams' cap situations and then just have contract Armageddon where everybody's releasing guys and guys are getting bought out and there's free agents and no room to sign them. So the NHL and NHLPA can sit down and say, okay, forget about what the rules say. We're going to make an exception and we're going to say that this is where the cap should be, and that's what will end up happening. The question is, how do you do that? And can you get the players and the owners to actually agree and do something for the good of the game without it turning into a big dramatic fight the way that everything else these two sides seem to try to do always ends up going? So that is another thing to keep an eye on when you get to next year. How do you even figure out a cap in a situation where the rules you have around caps are going to lead to disaster that nobody wants?
His Twitter handle is Down Goes Brown. You can follow him on the website Down Goes Brown, and he wrote a book, The Down Goes Brown History of the NHL, that he wrote a couple of years ago, and I was looking up some stuff when I knew we were having it in the show, Sean. Is there a story from your book? You know, I know the Ali Semenko fight is in there. The world's most beautiful sport, the world's most ridiculous league. Is there one quintessential story that would sum up the world's most ridiculous league from your book?
You know what? I think my favorite is the one where you go back to the 70s and you got the Sabres and the Canucks coming into the league, and two new expansion teams, and you got to figure out who's going to get the first overall pick in the draft. And it's important because the first pick in the draft is going to be Gilbert Perreault, who's blue chip prospect turns into a Hall of Famer. And you would think the league would just flip a coin. Seems nice and easy, but instead they go to this big dramatic thing. They get a big raffle wheel. They put numbers on it. They realize they've got the wrong number of numbers, and finally they spin the wheel. And the league president gets up and he says, okay, the Vancouver Canucks have won, except the Canucks hadn't won. He misread the wheel, and the Sabres had to go up and say, no, we got to look at it again. Just this total mess that could have been avoided by just flipping a coin. And to me, that's the classic NHL. Even when they try to be entertaining and they try to do something a little different, it always just seems to blow up in their face.
He's Sean McIndoe, covers the NHL for The Athletic, co-host of the Puck Soup podcast, and follow him on Twitter at Down Goes Brown. Sean, thanks so much for your time and your insight, and be safe, stay well, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Will do. Thanks, guys.
Sean McIndoe, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Molten.
Did you know that? I'm sure you did. Do you know that the Edmonton Oilers brought in Muhammad Ali to fight Dave Semenko?
No. I knew about Ali and Lyle Alzado. I knew about Ali and the Japanese sumo guy. I did not know about Dave Semenko. No.
I didn't either, and I was just looking through the stuff from this book, and it was in the 80s. Ali was done fighting. But they brought him in on June 12th, 1983 to take on Dave Semenko. It was promoted by Messier's uncle, Larry Messier. 6,000 fans show up. It was a draw. Apparently, Ali spent much of the 3 rounds toying with Semenko. There's a video of it, of, just a lot of fun. But at the end, Ali said the bout wasn't, he said he wasn't at the bout for the money because you couldn't afford to pay me. I'm here because you all have followed me over the years. You can tell your grandchildren you did see him. Apparently, at the end of the fight in round 3, Ali decided to box and bloodied up Semenko a little bit by the time it was over.
There you go. So he carried him for 6 minutes and then said, okay, all right.
They carried him for 8. Carried him for 8. The final minute of the 3rd round, he threw a series of punches that says stung Semenko, who was bloodied following the exhibition.
Just to let you know, I may not be on skates, but here's how it goes. Here's how it works. And by the way,
I never knew that until this morning. I 5 o'clock this morning is when I found that one out. And I'm like, wow, it's a great story.
I just watched Ali regain the title for the final time against Spinks.
Ooh, okay.
He had lost to him in February, beat him in September in the Superdome to regain the title for the third time.
That might be a poll question. And I don't know, what is the best sport to watch again? Because I have trouble with the footballs and the baseballs and in the stick and balls. You throw a boxing match on, you throw a golf tournament on, it doesn't even matter. I can just sit down and start watching it. I watched Ali Frazier 3 the other day. It was terrific.
Oh,
I mean, it's just terrific. They beat the crap out of one another.
They should have both stopped after that fight. Dr. Pacheco begged Ali to quit after that fight. Miller and Moulton. Our poll question today deals with Kyle Larson, the NASCAR driver who uttered the N-word during the I race on Sunday afternoon. He's been suspended by Ganassi Racing. Mark and I are of the belief he's going to be fired. A poll question asks, does he still have a racing career? Or is this effectively the end? That's our poll question at that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, and MillerandMoulton.com. Pat Kerwin will join us next on Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
A date which will live in infamy. People who knock these buildings down will hear all of it.
Amazing comebacks.
Brady has his fifth.
That inspired the American story. And before you know it, another great American comeback story
In stopping the virus,
will be in the books.
we will have a great victory
Our story continues
and return to our lives, great lives.
on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Why would someone take a chance on purchasing a frameless shower door from a big box store or an online discounter of an obscure brand, and then try and find a licensed, qualified installer to put it in, when you can deal directly with a local, family-owned business that consults, measures, manufactures, and installs their own award-winning brand of shower doors? My Shower Door is a family-owned and operated business and has the highest ratings on Angie's List and Home Advisor. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdor.com.
Gulf Shore Business wants you to vote for the best in Southwest Florida. Go online to GulfShoreBusiness.com to see the ballot highlighting locally owned and operated businesses. Vote for the best in these categories: business, finance, and insurance, legal, marketing, commercial, building and real estate, business services, and dining and drinks. We all have our favorites. Don't miss your chance to support yours. Voting ends at midnight on April 15th. It's the best in business, presented by GulfShoreBusiness.com. That's GulfShoreBusiness.com.
Pool need a checkup? Call the doctor, the Pool Doctor.
Hi, Dr. Mark here. LED color-changing pool lights can create an after-dark backyard oasis. Pick your color or select one of the light shows. You can see how dramatic it really is on our website. We're a family company, and for over 40 years, we've been doing business right.
The prescription is the Pool Doctor for award-winning pool service, repairs, and unheard of $39 diagnostic calls. That's mypooldoctor.com or 239-574-1133. State certified CPC 057088.
94.1 Fort Myers.
We are Buckforce. No matter where you're boating, with Towboat US, you're covered by the world's largest towing fleet with over 300 ports nationwide. Your local Towboat US companies in Charlotte, Lee, and Collier counties are here to help 24/7, 365 days a year. Inland, the river to Lake O, and out 75 nautical miles. And new membership pricing starts as low as $99. Call 239-945-1664 for more information, or visit towboatuscapecoral.com. With Towboat US, you're never stuck on the water.
Do you own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us at 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There'll be parades and sporting events and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Respond online today to make America's tomorrow brighter. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov. Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
"27 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, joining us on the Goldberg, New and Abraham Law Firm Hotline, and doing so courtesy of Pinchers, is Pat Kerwin of CBS's NFL Today Show and Moving the Chains weekday afternoons on NFL Radio. Pat, 9 days before the draft, how you holding up?
Well, I'm doing fine. You know, you got to get ready to go, and have a meeting this morning about how we're going to do it. Jim and I are going to be at our homes. Jason Horowitz will be in New Jersey, and I think Rick Neuheisel is going to be in Arizona. But we've all worked together. So I've done 1,000 TV shows with Jason, and obviously with Jimmy, tons of stuff, and Neuheisel as well. So we don't anticipate any issues in that. Now, we regularly get a lot of the players come and sit down with us as they're drafted. I don't know how they're going to work that out, if they're going to come on remotely with us. But we're going to be on Zoom like everybody else, and we'll see how that works. But getting ready for it. I'm not adding any more players to my work. So I've got 288 done, and I think hopefully that'll cover it. You know, if we get someone that's not on my 288 list, I'll just call Gil, because Gil will know who the guy is.
Pat, before we get into serious draft talk, I have one question really about free agency right now, because I know you kind of keep track of this, and if I catch you without the numbers, my apologies. But do we have numbers as to how many free agents are left? And in your estimation, how many of those guys are signed in the next 9 days? How many teams are still actively looking to fill a hole or two with free agents before the draft, or are we going to cool off completely until basically Monday of next week?
It's a great question, Mark, and it's got two answers. There'll be a list of guys that you're going to put on hold, and you're going to let the agent know we're trying to draft that position. We're not sure we're going to get it drafted. If we miss, you'll be hearing from us during the draft to secure the services of your client. So that's the first way. So you keep a lot of guys on the back burner in case. And many times during the third round, as an example, that's usually when it happens. You're going to clear the first three rounds on Friday night. You wanted a defensive end. You didn't get one. You didn't feel like you could even trade to get one. And now there's guys waiting for you to call, and it could be a lot of guys. It could be Everson Griffin's agent, Vinny Curry's agent, Jabal Sheard, Mike Bennett, Cam Wake. So there's a bunch of those guys that could fit the bill, and they know they're on hold. Now, guys like Everson Griffin, they've got a lot of teams. Now, someone might say, before the draft in the next 9 days, to your first part, we're not going to get a defensive end. Not where we're situated. Maybe they don't have a first-round pick and they see the run coming. Paul Alexander and I talked about this yesterday. The reason teams are running mock drafts over and over again, not everyone does it, but he was at the Bengals a long time. They did it, and we did it when we were at the Jets together, is to figure out where the run is. And are you in a realistic spot to get one? If you arrive at the conclusion, your own personal conclusion, that you won't, then you're going to call up a Griffin or a Clay Matthews, and you're going to try to strike a deal now. And those guys might be thinking, yeah, I'll take a deal before the draft. I don't want to be, the influence of the draft and taken away. Every team that drafts an end is going to, get rid of the idea of signing Everson Griffin or even Clay Matthews as a pass rusher. So some of those guys will. And I think I picked defensive pass rushers because I think that's where most of the strength of what's remaining in free agency is. And then you listen to Gettleman, and Dave talks about, and this is important, they determine, the strength of free agency and compare it to the draft pool. And they did that back in the beginning. And then you have to do it again now because now you know. I love when guys say, well, our draft board's set. No draft board is totally set. That's all BS. There's still medical stuff dribbling in. There's still a guy that can get in trouble. We all know that. We've talked about it for weeks here. And so the draft board is still volatile. And then you have to – that's why the pro personnel guy is going to be in the room or in this world connected. He's got to be able to respond. Okay, we're going to miss on defensive tackle. Do you like the tackles that are left? Who's left? Have you talked to them? And would we have to settle for, Marcel Darius? Well, we would. And then all of a sudden guys are going, let's trade up. So all of it's married together, Mark.
Pat, to me, it's when the runs are going to start in this draft. And
right.
The draft, let's face it, the draft starts at Detroit at 3. Burrow and Chase Young are going 1 and 2. But if the Chargers, say, move ahead of the Dolphins and take the Dolphins quarterback, the Dolphins could go, we don't like the guy that's left, so we're going to take an offensive tackle. And the Giants are likely going to take a tackle at 4. And now all of a sudden, the run on tackles starts because teams start, Tampa Bay at 14 may feel like, blank, we got to trade up. We got to get into the top 10 or we're not going to get one of the 4 tackles. I mean, I think what Detroit does at 3 and who gets it could then determine whether or not we do the run on tackles, which then is going to be much earlier than the run on receivers. And then, could Herbert or Tua be the third quarterback that falls into, late in the top 10 or into the teens even. I think what Detroit does at 3 and who they do it with is really the draft.
I do think it starts it. I'm going to go back to the beginning, though. It's funny when everyone Chase Young, that's a lock at 2. And it probably is. I'm just going to warn everybody. If you're playing with him with his hand on the ground, you and I talked about this, David, last week. You might not get the same guy that the team who plays him as an outside linebacker would get. I've watched enough of them now to know you better be careful. I talked to 2 GMs about it, and they thought, well, I don't know, Pat. You kind of I said, let me just go watch these 2 games and tell me you think he's the number 1 defensive end of all time. So I'm always a little nervous about that. But he's probably going to go 2, so you're right. 3 is the trigger spot. So 3 is going to trigger either what you just suggested, the run-on tackles will be earlier, or the run on quarterbacks is on. So I think it's going to still be the quarterback run. I mean, and I think Detroit should be really interested in not going that far down. And that's why talking to Miami is probably what they should do. And they shouldn't ask for a ton to do it. And then the Chargers may want to throw more at them. But I promise you, Herbert is very much in the eyes of the Dolphins and the Chargers. They do not see that as, well, we're not taking Herbert. We're gonna pass. So I do think they're going to land up both getting quarterbacks. But I do think your point about the run on the tackles, to me, it could start right with the Giants. Like, knowing Gettleman as I do, Isaiah Simmons is going to be very appealing to him. But the tackle grades are so strong, and they haven't wavered one bit. And you're going to get a terrific tackle. Now, if you want to tackle and you're the Giants, you may be tempted to move down yourself a few spots and sell your spot to the other quarterback team to ensure no one like Jacksonville goes up to take the spot away. And you say to yourself, well, we like 3 of the tackles, so it doesn't matter. We could move down. We're guaranteed one of the 3 guys. And so it's interesting, but I do think if it starts, a tackle run starts with the Giants, it could be over. The 4 kids could be done by 10. And then all those guys below that want to tackle are going to have to really think long and hard about Jackson and Jones and maybe even Wilson. So Isaiah Wilson's sitting there, and he's a pure right tackle. And according to Paul Alexander yesterday, a lot of people, especially if you need a right tackle, are excited about that guy. And all of a sudden, that could be their fallback position. That there's going to be a second run of tackles somewhere in the bottom half of the first round. So it'll go like crazy, simmer down, and then maybe the receiver run starts. And then those three tackles, as soon as someone takes one of those three, the other two are going to fall really fast. So that's 7 tackles in the first round.
Well, Pat, and you seem to think, every once in a while, you seem to think I care about the Lions, because I really don't. I've never been a fan, but I'm fascinated by how bad they are. I am just fascinated by how god-awful this franchise is. And I guess my question is, listening to you, and you said it in your mock draft, you traded down twice. Is Detroit smart enough? Are the people running this team smart enough to do this in this draft? Because every scenario you've placed out in front of us for 2 weeks, Pat, has Detroit trading down at least once, if not twice. Are they smart enough to pull this off?
I don't know, because I don't think they've ever done it. So it can be done, and it's always a matter of where do you go first. If you go to 5 and move and let Dolphins have the spot, then trading down again is not that hard. If you don't go to 5, then the Chargers, that's a quick swap if you want to do that. But why would the Chargers do it? Because they're afraid of someone below you, making a move up there, whether it's Jacksonville, which some people think it would be. It could be anybody, really. And who knows? To David's point, I don't think Tua has ever fallen down below 10. But if he did, boy, you have to wonder what the Patriots would do and how much they could muster to put something together. So, everyone loves all this. This is the part of the draft that everyone loves. It's the poker game before the perfect game. What would you do with a straight and everything else? So I don't know. I just can take you back to Kansas City, and they really just had a deal with Cleveland. They didn't have a lot else going on that was going to work for them or a partner that wanted to work with them. But they had – their anxiety was Arizona and that someone was going to beat them to Cleveland's spot. And that morning I talked to one of the guys in there. They were nervous as could be that there was someone else going to do it. And they had one plan to get to Mahomes that was going to work if no one else got involved. So I don't think a lot of these guys, Mark, have a bunch of plans. But I don't know. It wouldn't be that hard for Detroit to bump twice down. And it's happened before. I talked on this show about Charlie Castley doing it in Washington. So you can do it. And it's just a question of how far you go down the first time. If you don't go that far, you could bump down again. So they should do that. And Jacksonville's sitting there with Ngakoue as a piece, along with draft compensation, to get up pretty high. So I don't know how they're going to hand this team over to Minshew and just say, well, it's all yours, kid. They've done things like that before. They can't afford to make that kind of mistake. So I don't know. I don't think after the 3 quarterbacks, I don't think we're going to be seeing people go crazy for the 4th quarterback. I think, Eason or someone will go, or Love. Love to me, boy, I'll tell you, I don't hear it for him as much as people think it's out there for him. He's way too raw. And I think a lot of these GMs know. I think they've come to the decision you can't put that guy in the field too early, and that's when GMs don't want quarterbacks in the first round because the media and the fans are crying for the guy. And if there are fans, I don't know, but so I'd be careful about that one. I think it might be Eason the next one.
Well, the Saints and Patriots at 23 and 24, and obviously we don't know if New England has a quarterback, and we know that New Orleans' quarterback is near the end. So there's a lot of thought that Love is going to go in one of those 2 spots. I do find it interesting. I believe the Vikings bracket both those 2 teams because the Vikings got the Bills' first-round pick. Wouldn't be surprised if somebody really loves Love that they have to trade and get the Vikings' first pick to keep him away from New Orleans or New England.
Have you watched him, Dave? Have you watched him?
Yes, and I watched him 3 times last year. I only saw him once the year before. He looked terrific. Every time I saw him last year, he looked terrible.
Right.
Terrible, by the way. Not inconsistent. No, he looked bad every time I saw him last year. I made appointment viewing to stay up and to watch him. I mean, he's playing at Utah State. This is CBS Sports Network at 10:30 at night here, Pat. And
Yes,
he
in a
did not look
hotel
good.
room.
I wouldn't touch him for what it's worth. For whatever that's worth.
It's worth a lot. I mean, I just think that this is a different the set of rules for a first-round quarterback. They can say whatever they want. They're different than other rounds. You take that kind of guy in the third round, and no one's asking you a question, and 2 years from now he's starting, and it's kind of a smooth transition from obscurity to the field. You take him in the first round, and there's a microscope on him.
Pat, I mean, look, I get the love thing, and you guys are both right. But what about Herbert? I mean, and I'm no expert. You guys break this down better than I do, but I made a point to watch this guy. I never saw anything when I watched him play that I went, oh boy, this is the guy. And he's just ripping up this draft board that he may go ahead of Tua, and I get that the injuries were there for Tua, but can you tell me why all of a sudden, I mean, Justin Herbert seems to be the most sought-after quarterback all of a sudden? Because I don't get it, Pat.
Yeah, well, let me react to all of a sudden. Last year, if he came out, he would have been the first quarterback. A lot of people felt that way about him. So what did he do this year? So go watch the Auburn game, all right? He's playing against a team with superior defensive talent to his offensive talent. He's throwing the ball very nicely around the field. He's got run skills, runs for an incredible touchdown in the game, break a tackle. He can throw a 30-yard out. So all those things. He's big. And then he goes to the Senior Bowl and he tears it up. People can criticize that, but a lot of guys saw what they wanted to see in him. And so the whole issue is, well, is he a leader or not? He's a quiet kid, but his teammates respect him. And so, yes, it's partially due to the Tua injuries. But last year, his name was on the tip of everyone's tongue. And a lot of guys were saying last year, Mark, oh, don't take a quarterback in 2019. Herbert's coming out next year. So there's been expectations for him for a while, and he's not just a prototypical tall guy in the pocket. He can run, and he runs quite well, as a matter of fact, and he can sprint out. And that means he can run RPOs. He can do a lot of different things. And as I said, his stock went way up at the Senior Bowl because people liked what they saw, and they liked talking to him. So that's, in my mind, why it's where it is. And quarterbacks always move up the draft somewhere, and they start climbing. And he didn't have very far to climb to get there. Was anyone talking about a guy named Joe Burrow last year before the draft?
No. Absolutely not. Nope.
So
absolutely not. It was a project.
He was not on the future plans. And I had a guy call yesterday going, we should skip quarterback this year and take the Clemson kid. I go, yeah, well, so does 31 other teams. No one's doing that. You can't prepare for the future by holding your breath for a year. What if you're just 2 picks away? What if you're 1 pick away and the team with the pick doesn't want to move? You think the guy who has the first pick in next year's draft, there's a good question for you two. Who's got the first pick in next year's draft? Jimmy Miller's already cast his vote. I'll cast mine after you guys. Who's got the first pick? That you would say, hey, they know they're getting the Clemson kid. That's the answer. No one knows.
I'll put my money on the New York Jets.
And they won't take him. But let's, who Jimmy Miller says is Carolina.
Well, I think it would have been Carolina if they didn't sign Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you on that. They'll miss by two spots. How about Detroit?
Possible. But I think with Stafford playing, they're better than. Look, I just read an article this morning before the show that
you guys,
the Jets are favored in 1 game this year. 1, Pat, as of right now. Odds makers have the Jets winning 1 game.
Right, and they probably will win enough to be the first pick. But I'm telling you, it's not an easy question to answer. And if you really can think about it, we can't even include. What if Kyler Murray goes down with an injury on week 1? Are they going first? Do they want the Clemson? It's insane to think. Let's skip quarterback because we'll get the Clemson kid next year. What if he gets hurt? What if he turns into Tua with a hip injury? There's a million things. So waiting to take a quarterback is foolish. If you see one and your grading system says that this guy can be our starter, you just take him, and you don't think twice about it.
He's Pat Kerwin of CBS and of NFL Radio, moving the chains weekday afternoons with Jim Miller. He joined us on the Goldberg, Noon Abraham Law Firm hotline, goldberg-law.com. Pat, brought to you for many a year now by Pinchers. Have 3 locations still open: Fort Myers Beach, Bonita Springs on 41, and in Naples. So order your takeout from one of those 3 Pinchers locations: Fort Myers Beach, Bonita Springs, and Naples. Pat, stay safe.
I will, fellas. Enjoy your day, and I'd be interested if you run a poll. Who's got the first pick next year? I can't figure out who it's going to be, but apparently the fans think they already know.
Pat Kerwin with the final word once again here on Miller and Moulton. The good, the better, and the best. And today's version of Takeout Shoutout is next. Thanks so much for listening. Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. Right now, 1,186 confirmed cases of coronavirus in Southwest Florida. The number of deaths in our area is now 32. Statewide, just over 21,000 people are battling the virus. Starting today, anyone entering the fresh market must wear a face covering to protect customers and employees. The grocery chain has locations in Fort Myers, Naples, Bonita Springs, and Marco Island. At least 66 NCH employees are under quarantine right now after a potential exposure at their downtown Baker Hospital. At Lee Health, 122 employees are quarantined at home. Starting today, Collier County libraries are offering paper applications to file for unemployment. They'll have tables set up outside to grab a form to alleviate the delays with applying online. The president is telling governors it's up to him, not them, when the country reopens. Today, he'll meet with recovered patients and healthcare executives before addressing the nation tonight at 5 o'clock. For updates on coronavirus, trust Wink News, facts, not fear.
We're on the phone with our good friend Tim Meister, owner of the Floor Meisters in Naples. TJ, we hear you've added several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5 new colors of Core-Tec for our stock. All nice, light, beautiful colors for Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase and take home.
And it's not just the many colors of Core-Tec that you have. You also have other Core-Tec products as well.
We also carry the Core-Tec stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec, so you get the softness, quietness, and the easy installation to go with it. We also have Core-Tec wood, look of wood, real wood, but with a more stable core for Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com. That's floormeisters.com.
Great news, Southwest Florida. Our service and parts departments are open for business. Now's a great time to bring your vehicle in for service at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers. Over 1,100 Chryslers, Dodges, Jeeps, and Rams in stock. 2019 Ram 1500 Tradesman. Now just $299 per month. That's right, $299 per month. And you own it with interest-free financing for 84 months. Qualifying purchases with no payments for 90 days. Almost every 2020 Jeep Wrangler at friends and family below invoice pricing. Best of all, at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Fort Myers, we offer at-home test drives and at-home delivery at your convenience. That's right, 0% APR financing for 84 months on new Rams, Jeeps, and Dodges. Plus, at-home test drives and at-home delivery. Call today, drive today at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 1/2 mile south of Daniels Parkway on US 41 in Fort Myers. Open every day, including Sunday. Call 239-481-2600. GallianaCars.com. $29.99 down plus tax, tag, and dealer fee. $299 per month for 84 months at 0% APR. Excludes Rubicon. Offers don't combine.
Wake up with Miller and Moulton weekdays at 6 a.m.
We are Fox Sports! Ever purchased an online item and either it doesn't fit, has missing parts, or became damaged? Trying to save a few bucks can end up costing more. My Shower Door is a locally owned and operated family business that measures, manufactures, and installs our own brand of frameless shower doors right here in Southwest Florida. And we were just named Lee County's Manufacturer of the Year.
With almost 80,000 shower doors installed, we have the experience and expertise. Plus, estimates are always free. Want to see more? Go to myshowerdoor.com.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. But you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us at 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
Well, we've hit rock bottom.
Hey, let me say something. I'm in a glass case of emotion.
You know things are really bad when Waffle House is closed and Mark Miller has a positive attitude.
Let's pump the brakes there.
With that being said, here's our brand new bright and shiny segment. Mark Miller's The Good, The Better, and The Best. Man, I hope we get back to normal fast. This is weird.
You're live.
Well, for the good today, we go to Provincetown, Massachusetts, where in most areas, seniors are given that extra time to do their shopping. At this place, it's between 6 and 7:30 in the morning, and an unnamed person reached out the store to say, I got the first $5,000. Wow. Wanted to help support the community. Manager says one elderly woman had run out of government assistance for food and couldn't stop crying when she found out about the donation. For the better, we go to Ralph Wendorf. Just hit triple digits. And the World War II vet in Albuquerque, New Mexico, was given a personal parade. Morelos County first responders, the Duke City Gladiators, and a few motorcycle clubs drove by to wish Wendorf a happy birthday, and the sheriff's office even made him an honorary deputy, presenting him with a certificate and a badge. The vet says out of all 100 birthdays, this one was the best by far, adding, I'm absolutely speechless. I put 2 cherries in my Manhattan. That a boy. You deserved that extra cherry, sir.
Damn right.
There is no doubt. And for the best, you gotta love Olive Vernosi. She's 93. She lives in Seminole, PA. And she had put a sign up at her window, holding a Coors Light in one hand and the sign with a smile on her face that simply says, I need more beer. Well, give it up, because more than 4 million people saw it on Facebook. A lot of people offered to get her some beer, but Coors Light sent her 10 15-packs. Now, of course, thank goodness, at least so far, it looks like the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will step up, because you cannot have alcohol delivered in Pennsylvania. Therefore, they're going to have to make a deal with Coors so that the 93-year-old Olive Vernosi can get her damn beer. And that, David, is the good, the better, and the best on April 14th of the worst year in the history of the 21st century.
Mark, let me tell you, there's a couple of elections that depend on whether or not that fine lady gets her beer. All right, if you're the politician that stands in the way of that delivery, all right, you're going down. I'm just telling you that right now.
That whole state's so backwards with liquor, you have no idea.
I know. I went
still
to college there.
Well, and it's still the same way. I mean, there were a lot of these states that had the ABC states. North Carolina's another one. They are just screwed up. Just screwed up. At least we don't. That's one thing we got right in Florida. You want to buy booze? Do it whenever you want, wherever you want. We don't care.
Miller and Moulton. That's kind of been our platform for many a year. Time now for today's version of Takeout Shoutout.
I'm calling for Tony Sacco's Coal Oven Pizza in Coconut Point Mall. We are doing curbside pickup, and you can order through the multiple delivery apps. You can also order online at TonySaccosDestero.com. 948-6697.
We are Zoe's Kitchen, Fort Myers, Florida, in the Whole Foods Plaza at 6 Mile Cypress and Daniels Parkway. Open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Phone number is 239-207-3632.
Zushi and House of Brews on Fort Myers Beach on Old San Carlos Boulevard. We're open 12 to 8 every single day for takeout. 239-463-9874.
1 minute.
If you want to leave your message for takeout shout-out, the phone number is 479-5577, 479-5577, or you could send us a text on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line, 479-5551. How's the poll question going?
Poll
Kyle
question
Larson?
is up. Kyle Larson, will he have a career, or is it over? 59% of you say it is over. Go to that Mark Miller or the David Moulton to vote, and we will give you the results in the morning. It's Greg Maddox's birthday. They're showing Maddox games on MLB. He's going to live tweet his comments throughout. Something to follow. Dan Patrick is next.
We are Fox Sports. Are you a music and technology lover? Indulge your senses with a
All right, you
visit
guys
to the
have a good
best
day. See you
audio,
tomorrow.
video,
You
and
too. Talk to
technology
you tomorrow.
showroom in Southwest Florida. Epic Audio Video.